gamers. And so you could join someone's Discord. You could get on what was then called the whitelist or the pre-sale list. If you wanted a certain token, you would have had to have proof that you had bought a previous token, so that therefore it became an exclusivity. So people would wear, let's say, their tribe, their PFP on their avatar profile.
Discord profile.
Right. Signifying, I've bought into this group, or, I'm part of this group. This is part of my ethos kind of thing. I think a lot of the backlash came, personally, there was a collection called the Bored Ape Yacht Club.
Okay, so that's a big one. I'm going to actually interrupt you, and we're going to come back to the Bored Ape Yacht Club because we need to take a short break. You're listening to the Crypto Radio, and we will be back speaking to CW Stubbs about NFTs and her experience with the journey from 2020 onwards.
You're listening to the Crypto Radio. To learn more, you can head to thecryptoradio.com. We have news, education, entertainment, and you can listen live. You can also find us on X at the Crypto Radio X to find out more. R is for wrecked. Wrecked, R-E-K-T, means severe financial loss due to a wrong investment. An example of a wrecked situation is a crypto user who invests heavily in a coin only for them to face a heavy loss. The word wrecked also points to a digital asset itself losing value, where one could say X coin got wrecked. Stay tuned for more crypto A to Z explainers.
Welcome back to the Crypto Radio. I am speaking to NFT artist and general digital and multimedia artist CW Stubbs about her experience with NFTs across 2020, the peak, the slump, and all the way throughout. Just before the break, CW, you spoke about the Bored Ape Yacht tokens. Is that right?
Yeah, the Bored Ape Yacht Club.
Yeah, the Bored Ape Yacht Club. I remember the Bored Ape NFTs, but can you tell us a bit more about them and their place in NFT history?
I think I have a very different and probably not popular view upon that. I was also part of a group called the Bored Ape, I think the Bored Ape Ladies or something along those lines. I'd seen this group, and they were representing themselves as like the first female DAO with all female artists. That was something I was very interested in. I'm very interested in women in the arts. And I had the opportunity to make a piece for them. And I think this would have been February 2021. I could be wrong with dates. I did a piece all about mother and Jungian archetypes and things like that. However, so the Bored Apes launched in Clubhouse. And at the time, I just didn't like the art. I wasn't a fan. It was as simple as that. It was.
Can you tell us why?
I just thought it was ugly. And there's this thing with like, I don't know, something about it. And I think they were, it's one of these things. It's like, who's to know? There were about 300 at the time. It was a very testosterone filled room with men making ape noises. And that put me off. But when there was this female, and then I had to kind of really think about it, versus opportunity versus instincts and all of these things. And it kind of came out over time that and then, as you may know, loads of celebrities came out stating that they, own these Bored Apes. I think it was on American talk shows. It was a big thing. They were going for suddenly like millions of pounds, right? It was a thing.
So you're suggesting that the burst of the bubble, although you said it started earlier, you can see this is the roots of it, right? Like when things are going for that kind of money, and you have celebrity endorsements,
ridiculous money,
I remember Matt Groening, the creative Simpsons, had some NFTs out. Like it became very, very mainstream very, very quickly. And I had a lot of people who I knew, kind of social circles and stuff, posting their own NFTs online on various social media platforms and stuff. So it became a very big thing very quickly. Can you tell us a bit about wash trading and what wash trading is, for a start, for those people who don't know, and how this may have played a part in the bubble bursting?
So wash trading is effectively where, let's say, and I'll give an example. let's say I made an NFT collection. And let's say my friend said to me, well, why don't you price those at 1 ETH? And then I'll buy them from you from a variety of my anonymous wallets. And then it looks like my value for these pieces is at 1 ETH. And then I can either pay her the money back or not. And then we will continuously buy them between each other, creating, let's say, a FOMO, a fear of missing out, right? Thus inflating the prices. And then all you need are a few people to believe in those inflated prices, and you make a really good profit. And it's completely illegal. And this was where, again, my ethics got in the way, because when I launched my first collection, a friend of mine who was, an MBA said, hey, I'll buy it, and then you can buy it back for me. And I had ethics. I know, it's such a hindrance. But apparently it would be something that I would see often on Twitter. It would be like, hey, are you an artist willing to, invest 1 ETH? And then the artist that I would see respond, I kind of followed out of curiosity. And sure enough, their sales would go up. And I'm not one to judge, but that's just not for me. And there was so much art that people were paying, thousands for. Absolutely thousands for. And then it was like, well, this argument, well, I don't want art on my phone. And how do you display an NFT? And actually, can it be copied? Because we were told this can never be copied. But in fact, what wasn't, I feel, within the communities really well explained is you thought you were buying the actual digital image when what you were purchasing was a transaction hash. You're purchasing a transaction. So that you have proof that you made that transaction. But we all kind of learned as we went on, but the kind of extreme overpopularity, and then what I think really kind of brought things to a slow denouement, because NFTs are still going, right? And we can go back to that in a moment. Was the more and more artists in more countries were being banned from certain platforms. And then basically the bear market, if you want to call it that, shortly after the start of the war in Ukraine, the market just crashed. And with that, the kind of, I think, the previous ideas of getting rich quick, and people were much more educated, I think, also at that point, having a broader understanding of this isn't all about community and peace and love, that this is actually a capitalist market, just like every single other one.
Yeah. And I think also it, like, aside from understanding things better and putting things into perspective and it not being this kind of idealistic vision, there's also that issue that I think the artists were going to gain control and they were going to get rid of the middlemen, and, galleries would, like whoever the middlemen are. And then also the idea that you would hold on to royalties for as long as your as in you could sell something and then the next person who would sell that would hold on to that.
Yeah, that was one of the huge incentives, was this idea of royalties, which were baked into the contracts of most of the platforms in 2020, 2021. And then I believe it was in 2022 that I think OpenSea was one of the first that said, no, actually, we are not going to honor those artist royalties.
So how did that work? They said they would and they backtracked, or they just said, we're not going to do it off the beginning?
They said they would, and then they backtracked, because also while all this is going on was suddenly this debate about whether or not NFTs were securities. At one point they were taxable, at one point they weren't taxable, and it was like keeping a grand idea of, like finances and taxes and what you need to pay taxes on. And if something becomes a security, then it goes into a different tax bracket. And I think that was a huge part of it, this idea that so many artists, who unfortunately, never see the financial benefits of their work, that it's clever, clever dealers, clever galleries. And so that was the appeal, especially when you came to, let's say, friends that I made in the global South that suddenly had this platform of eyes in, North America, in Europe, that could see their art, that were, whether it was virtue signaling, whether it was true care, was like, actually, why? Let's elevate all artists that don't often get an avenue or a platform to show their art, to share their stories, to share their purpose.
Okay, thank you. Can we talk a little bit now? Like, where are you now? What is the use of NFTs now? Are you still using them? Are you still minting your art? Where do things stand for you now?
I don't mint as fervently as I used to. I'm a little more selective. And I also, because several platforms have just closed, like Known Origin, where I was minting my work on ETH, I need to have a relook at where I can, but I'm still minting things on Object and with Tezos, and the NFT scene is alive and well on the X platform, but it's a platform that, for my own reasons, I just choose I can't deal with. For me and NFTs, I would rather see it more as this digital tool of like expansion and communication. There's a potential project coming up in March where I'll be working with local artists, local printmakers, local quilters, local poets. And we'll be taking, as a community effort, we'll be taking, let's say, squares of work they make that will then be created into a large banner. And then each of those squares I'll digitize, and then I'm going to put into an online gallery that can be interactive, like a metaverse space. So then people can go into that space and then look at the artwork in a different way. So I still think it has some excellent use cases, but I'm just not into the kind of acronyms of FOMO anymore.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really interesting project. Thank you. Okay, I just wanted to finish on a question that's kind of related, but kind of isn't. And that's because I feel that the crypto community and the artists kind of NFT community and that whole, well, probably the whole world actually, is very split on AI. And I think when it comes to AI as an artist or as someone who makes something original and unique, I just wanted to find out what your personal opinions are and what side of that fence you sit on. Sorry.
No, I think there are definitely issues with copyright and I think it's currently in the courts in America that there were loads of artists that AI systems were trained on that they shouldn't have been. However, the genie is out of the bottle. I choose to see AI as a tool. One of the paintings that I have back there was I'd asked AI, I'd fed it some of my previous work, and I asked it to kind of give a critical view of my work. And then this is, I have a Caravaggio nurse, a rat as a rabbit. However, if people use AI, I think this is where the arguments come in, is do artists need to state that it's made with AI? And I think it's a difficult one to answer because there are people that are differently abled where the ability to use AI has completely changed how they can express themselves creatively. And I think that's a wonderful thing. But I think when there's a lack of ethics in using AI because there are artists that have trained for 30 or 40 years that now just want to throw in the towel because some kid can make something. But I think AI is a brilliant tool, and as an artist, it can be integrated into a practice. I do think that where artists' work have been trained on models is completely unethical, but there are groups that are trying to do things about that. But it's here. And so it would be like me, I remember much the same arguments when digital cameras came along. And I think as artists, we don't have to evolve with technology, but for example, there's the artist Ralph Steadman, who's completely integrated digital work and minting NFTs, and I think he might be in his late 70s. And so then his work has now found a completely new audience because he's been able to continue that practice in a more modern way. So I can't take a side with AI,
but you have an overview
because it's ubiquitous. It's me getting angry, me shaking my fist at the sky will not stop it from raining.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, CW. Lovely to have you on. And thank you so much for your input. For people listening, you can learn more about CW on thecryptoradio.com, as well as a lot of the topics we've covered today. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye. Digital coins we grow, all you need to know.
The Crypto Radio Masterclass, NFTs. You may have heard the term NFT and your eyes glazed over, but they're actually very useful and can be cool, as many are linked to art. Non-fungible tokens, NFTs, saw rapid growth in 2020, making the headlines with millions of dollars being exchanged for them at auctions. They're now being used across all sorts of industries.
So what is an NFT?
To break it down, non-fungible means it's unique and cannot be replaced with something else. There's only one of them, and tokens refers to a digital asset. So in essence, an NFT is a one-of-a-kind digital asset that you can own. It could be a piece of art, music, a video, virtual real estate, or even a tweet. When you buy an NFT, you get the original, just like owning a unique physical painting.
What are the key features?
Unique ownership. NFTs prove you are the owner of the original digital item. The blockchain backbone. NFTs are stored on blockchains, ensuring their security and authenticity. And limited supply. Most NFTs are created in limited numbers, making them rare.
How do you buy an NFT?
First, you need to get a digital wallet. This is where you store your cryptocurrency and NFTs. Popular choices include MetaMask and Trust Wallet. Then you can buy your cryptocurrency. Most NFTs are bought with Ethereum, which you can purchase from an exchange like Coinbase or Binance. Then choose an NFT marketplace. Popular websites are OpenSea, Rarible, and Super Rare.
Why are NFTs so popular?
Well, they provide proper ownership. NFTs allow people to truly own digital assets, just like physical ones. And NFTs support creators and the artists when you buy them directly. Plus, owning rare NFTs can be a status symbol and a way to be part of an exclusive community. For more info on NFTs and to read other explainers like this, go to thecryptoradio.com. This is just a taster of the content we are building at the Crypto Radio. The Crypto Radio is a new online radio station with a global reach, dedicated to the exciting world of crypto and blockchain. We have a strong focus on trust and transparency across all our programs and shows, which will have a broad appeal. From news to education, entertainment to communities, we are creating content for everyone, from the crypto curious to crypto OGs. New interviews, topics, explainers and shows are regularly being added, while you can keep up with us at thecryptoradio.com and across our major social media channels. We will educate, inform and entertain our listeners while growing and supporting crypto and blockchain awareness and adoption. We are the Crypto Radio.
The Crypto Radio price update. Bitcoin price is $93,220, down by 0.68%. Ethereum price is $3,327.3, down by 1.66%. BNB price is $701.7, down by 0.47%. Solana price is $188.7, down by 2.24%, based on the last 24 hours. Curious to know more? Check out thecryptoradio.com.
The Crypto Radio. Tune in and feel the glow. Digital coins we grow. All you need to know.
Hello and welcome to the Crypto Radio with me, Justin Harper. Solana may sound like a form of renewable energy, but is in fact a blockchain with its own native cryptocurrency, Sol. Solana is the fifth largest cryptocurrency and is known for its fast transaction speeds. It has also become the platform for choice for meme coins and stable coins, which are enjoying record inflows. I'm joined in the studio by Alex Scott, who works for Solana. Specifically, he leads Solana's super team Middle East and runs hackathons, developer workshops, and networking events to support the Solana network. Alex, welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
No, can we firstly start, because we're aimed at beginners, newbies, and the crypto curious, can you just give us a brief history of Solana, as in how it differs, say, from Bitcoin and where it stands within the networks, most popular ones?
Yeah, sure. So among the, I think you mentioned the top 5, I think depending on the market cap of the top cryptocurrencies at the moment, but one of the relatively new ones, actually. I think if you look at that list, it's only just over 4 years old. First Genesis block was in, would have been 2020. We celebrated the 4th birthday this past summer. Compared to, say, like Ethereum, which is another smart contract, like programmable blockchain, which is roughly like 8-9 years old. Bitcoin, obviously even older than that. The original, the king, the number one, yet to be displaced.
Yeah.
So compared to Bitcoin, for example, major difference is that you can write smart contracts or applications on the blockchain. Bitcoin is very simple. There's 21 million Bitcoin. You can buy fractions of that, and that's about it. You could send back and forth to individuals, but you can't actually, say, create a program on the Bitcoin network. I think there's like some exceptions to that, and people are taking efforts, but it wasn't like ground up built for that.
Yeah.
Versus something like Solana, which you can inscribe metadata, so like additional information, or you can write smart contracts that allow you to do more sophisticated things like borrowing and lending, like an automated contract between you and I that says, I've lent you $1,000 and it must be repaid on this date, otherwise the collateral is automatically liquidated.
Yeah. Okay. So that's Solana for us. And then you work in the super team, which sounds very exciting. Anything with super in it there. So could you just give us a brief sort of, summary of what the super team is and then what you do within that team?
Sure. A super team is what we call like an ecosystem development program. The very simple version of it is if I find the next founder who's building on Solana and they create $1 billion company, I look like a hero. Everything is pointed in that direction, identifying top talent and helping them build valuable companies on Solana. The history is 3 years ago, they started this project in India. Originally, it started as a podcast, actually. It was a conversation just like this with a famous comedian named Tanmay and Akshay from the Solana Foundation. And they were just having this conversation about cryptocurrencies and started to get a good following among young people in India. Turned out a lot of them were technically inclined, and then they started doing meetups on top of that. And then eventually it evolved into this global program, which is now live in 16 countries, which takes everyone from first learning about cryptocurrency to earning your first dollar in the industry. And then ultimately some of them will go on to, say, raise money, win hackathons, and start companies.
Yeah, right. And so you're sort of looking after the community, the devs, developers, right, within that community. Is that the main sort of focus for you?
I think I have, so that's definitely like one big pillar is founder support. So identifying talent and helping them win. I think there's another piece which is like what we're doing now, which is more general awareness. And I do that through content. So that's like videos, posts on Twitter, stories on X or Instagram rather. And then another big piece is, say, relationships with stakeholders in the ecosystem. That means like could be regulators, could be free zones here, Department of Economy and Tourism here in Dubai, and helping to place Solana as say like the preferred blockchain of choice for these institutions.
Right, okay. And you mentioned creating content.
Yeah.
And we know because we're for that sort of beginner, curious audience there's a lot of jargon and there's a lot of technical terms. How do you sort of navigate that to make what you're doing, that content, quick, easy to understand? And of course, on social media and our time spans and everything, how do you make it engaging as well? Is that a tough thing to do?
Yeah, I think it definitely depends on the audience. And I think depending on the platform, we adjust the messaging. So it could be as simple as, instead of calling it cryptocurrency, when I'm posting on LinkedIn, we talk about digital assets and Web3. There's euphemisms because of like, say, either the stigma or like the mental models that those audiences have, and say like compared to the people on X who are very crypto native, and I can use the jargon, I can go into that like technical detail on Twitter. I would adjust that language on LinkedIn. For videos, I think we tend to just focus it on fast, crisp messaging, which by its nature excludes a lot of the jargon. So focusing on, for example, if I'm talking about Cast Payments Card that I was showing you before we started recording, focus just on the benefits to the end user. No one cares about the like technical detail about like which blockchains and the speed and latency of the back end. They just care, hey, I can spend my crypto at this rate with these benefits. So you'll see a lot of our content is just focused on like the value or what's in it for the...
Yeah. And, some people take their work home with them. Do you live and breathe crypto blockchain? I know you showed us, this very cool looking credit card that earns great cashback Cast. And are you sort of investing yourself and always looking at projects on a personal level? Is it hard once you're in that space to sort of, switch off?
Yeah, for me, there is no distinction. There is no work Alex and social or home Alex because, one, the industry is 24/7. It's always active. There's always some newsworthy event, and like markets are 24/7. I also work with global teams who are always awake, right? So it's the team in San Francisco is awake, and then the team in Singapore on the other side is going to bed, and we're playing that global game. And then also just because I'm so passionate about the space, I do genuinely believe that this technology is changing humanity for the better, and that it is the kind of culmination of like a lot of things that I've done in my past lives. I don't feel the need to compartmentalize. It has bled into my entire life and existence, and friends that I have are also colleagues, and there's no distinction there. It's all just sort of life.
Yeah, you mentioned a sort of a phrase that resonates with us about the good, doing having the power of change and doing positive things. And we seem to have lost that narrative a little bit with the scams and the dirtier side of crypto and money laundering. How do we get that back to let people know crypto can do so much, can really help people from the unbanked, the underprivileged, speed up payments, makes things cheaper to do. How are we going to get back to that sort of, that image that it probably deserves?
So the reason I started working with Super Team actually was exactly for this point. I think the last cycle created a lot of cynicism. A lot of bad actors were flushed out of the space. And when I met the team from Super Team India, they were visiting Dubai. I was tagged in a post and then had coffee with the guys. And they gave examples of people earning their first crypto, not buying it, which was is like the tagline actually for Super Team is earn your first crypto, don't buy it. It's not a tool for speculation. This is actually a way of bringing economic opportunity to people that otherwise may not have had access. And a great example is in say tier 2, tier 3 city in India, there's a 16, 17-year-old with a laptop and an internet connection. The odds of that person, maybe he or she has some developer inclinations, the odds of them getting a H-1B visa in the United States and like being able to work for a startup, abysmally small. Less than like 0.01% probably after you add all the stages of that together. But thanks to the power of crypto, he's got a laptop, an internet connection, technical inclination, the ability to teach himself a lot of skills that are required by a VC-backed company sitting in Europe or the United States. This person is now able to earn fully remotely from their city, otherwise disconnected from economic opportunities, and is now earning $5,000 to $10,000 per month on par with their American peer. That's transformative, not just for that individual, but for that entire community around them. Parents that have now seen their child's earnings exceed whatever their expectations were. But then if you now spread that across many different countries where we're operating across Southeast Asia, across South Asia, in Africa, it has the ability to transform the entire global economy.
So it's leveling the playing field, as you
Correct.
said there. It's giving people opportunities they wouldn't normally have there. And that tagline is earning crypto, not buying crypto.
Yeah, the best way to onboard people into crypto is don't send them to an exchange to buy a dog coin. Make them work for it and then pay them.
Right. And so by doing that, they've got more value. They see more value in the crypto because they've actually earned it there, and they see it really as a digital asset and money.
Yeah, I think it turns it into, instead of being then a form of speculation of I sweat in my job to then throw it into the casino. This is actually a way for me to improve my standing and generate new skills and have exposure to new opportunities. A little bit like moving to a new city, right? It's like if you, as a journalist, for example, being in London or New York around the activity, or Dubai is very different than, say, being isolated in a small town in the middle of the UK, as an example.
Yeah.
In the same way, finding these earning opportunities on the internet and being connected to world-class talent, founders based in San Francisco or New York or London. These people are able to elevate their own aspirations and gain new skills and do more.
Yeah, okay. I get with that mentality, definitely on board with that. And then obviously talking about young people, talking about exciting opportunities, meme coins, it's hard not to have a conversation. Obviously, Bitcoin's hit 100K, altcoins, meme coins, huge buzz around that. And Solana is the go-to platform. Is that fair to say for meme coins?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Whether that's inherent to Solana or just a function of providing superior technology and the lowest barriers to entry could be debated, probably. But it's definitely brought a lot of people online, I think. for better or worse, I think we'll hit a point where things are not just going up only, and people will feel burnt by that, or or have taken excessive risk and have resentment toward and may project that onto the network. So that's definitely like a downside that I'm not looking forward to seeing, because it's so obviously going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
So I think I have that daily conversation with the taxi driver or the the delivery guy when people, and I see them on the apps doing these things, and it's I've definitely given the nudge of, hey, don't use your rent money, be sensible, only put in one that you can lose. Just be careful, because things can come down as fast as they go up.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's that FOMO, right? And the fear and the greed are such powerful emotions. Even if you know nothing about this space and you haven't got investments diversified, still throwing too much money into the meme coin space when you're seeing these huge coins rocket, right? So as Solana, you mentioned there, look, this could all blow up and people will start to point fingers when actually they made the decisions and they're the ones who invested. How do you try and regulate that, as in try and calm that down? Or can you not just say, look, we want to pick and choose more how the coins get listed? Or you just have to say, look, this is an open market?
But if I speak as the perspective of Solana, the network, Solana is an open source technology, and anyone in this building, in this city, in the world, can just go and build an application and do whatever they want on it. It's a lot like, AWS has centralized control and permissions, but similar to that, it's a public service, an infrastructure that anyone can just spin up an account and create something, and that's not going to change. That is the philosophy of blockchain. It is an open technology that can be used by anyone. Now, at the level above that is the application layer, right? So you'll have an exchange built on top of that, and they can choose to censor, and they have done. So Pump.fun is a very good, big example of that, and they recently turned off live streaming because it became so excessively just bizarre, and some really not great content was being posted on there. And so they've self-censored there, which is possible. But by its nature, by its design, at the Solana blockchain layer, that kind of censorship will not happen.
No, that goes against the very ethos, right, of decentralization. There.
Yeah.
Now we're going to take a short break and come back. You're listening to the Crypto Radio. To learn more, you can head to thecryptoradio.com. We have news, education, entertainment, and you can listen live. You can also find us on X at the Crypto Radio X to find out more.
Did you enjoy that interview? Well, there's plenty more where that came from. Breaking news, insights, and a whole load of fun and entertainment along the way. Whether you're a whale hodling to the moon, a bag holder waiting for your comeback, or just a no-coiner like me trying to keep up with the jargon, the Crypto Radio has something for you. We've got interviews, deep dives, and everything you need to stay ahead in the crypto and blockchain space. So don't be afraid to dive in. If I can do it, so can you. So stay tuned and check us out at thecryptoradio.com and follow us on social media for updates, laughs, and everything crypto. See you there.
Welcome back to the Crypto Radio. We talked about the cycle and super cycles, and some of the people we spoke to think maybe there's a year left of this boom in meme coins, and then, as you were hinting at there, a lot of people will get burnt, lose money, and then we'll move on to something
It's already
else.
happening, by the way. If you just look at the statistics of token launches, there's tens of thousands every day, I think, and most will not even reach the threshold of getting promoted to an exchange, and then out of those, 0.001% will be land in profit. So it's already happening.
So already the glamour is starting to lose its appeal now, and people are starting to maybe get a reality check on the whole meme coin.
Anyone that's been trading actively has already been experiencing that. I think it's a question of how deep into the mainstream that awareness is, so that the scale of that impact gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah, but bizarrely at the other end of the spectrum, you're also big on stable coins, which are almost like the complete opposite of meme coins by their very nature, right? Stable coins. So how does that work? That you're seeing for stability as well as volatility?
But this is the beauty of this open source technology, is that anyone can be using it. It's the same way that the public roads are open to anyone, and if they choose to ride a go-kart or a camel, it's up to them. So it depends on what the user is trying to achieve. So are you trying to achieve preserve your retirement savings and get a more modest yield, or are you trying to hit the 10,000x? These are all different people. Sometimes the same people, but with a mix of their portfolio in it. But Yeah, it is a fascinating world because you have this like massive spectrum. On one side, you have say like Franklin Templeton launching a money market fund on Solana. You have Visa doing back-end USDC international payments reconciliation, right? So like very, very serious money, tenured executives with decades of experience on the line, and like they're placing big bets. And then you have on the other end of that barbell is absolute degeneracy. So it's a fascinating space, but everything is enabled by the same technology ultimately.
Yeah. So everyone, as you say, is free to come and do their own thing, and it's always buyer beware. You as the investor still have to do your research and.
We often make the analogy of like blockchains as cities,
right?
And actually, I see a lot of like Dubai. I see in Solana as well, right? So ease of doing business, for example. So like lowering the friction to say launching an application or just making it easier is the same thing as what Dubai does. Like, okay, let's reduce the fees to setting up a LLC or make it easier, like compliance and tax rules and like lowering that friction, opening up immigration, for example, all aimed at reducing friction for people to enter the economy and start building things. With that comes people who also love to rent Ferraris and zoom around at 3 a.m. and pop champagne bottles on yachts, which a lot of people, especially in the mainstream, would find distasteful. Very, very similar kind of thing happens on a blockchain like Solana. You have everything just moves on chain. You have all of humanity, the serious sovereign wealth fund and LP money, all the way down to the Ferrari renting.
The crypto bros, and the crypto bling.
Yeah, exactly. You just get the full spectrum. It's humanity, and everything you hate about crypto is just what you hate about humanity.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like a microcosm for sure. And so I also wanted to ask you about these economic zones, because I bumped into someone on a panel a few weeks ago who was telling me about a pop-up Solana economic zone. I think it was in Buenos Aires, and I couldn't quite get my head around quite what these zones are. So hopefully you can just tell us a little bit more about those.
Yeah, so you may have been talking to Farhaj, who was running Forma City, which was the Solana economic zone in Argentina. So they ran that for a month, and it was a physical space where they brought together people from the government, from the Solana like industry ecosystem. And I think the overall objective there was really to create awareness about like what, say, like blockchain technology can do for people, and then doing very concrete actions, for example, for local vendors to start accepting US dollar denominated stable coins as a payment, which they love because they don't pay the same very high transaction fees that they would on, say, like a Visa MasterCard terminal. And then they start to realize, oh, well, now I have this crypto holding. I can also earn some yield on that. I've reduced my fees. I can now make international payments for 1/100th of a cent. And then we see that they start to get into the Solana ecosystem and then start building or considering building applications or just interacting more with our technology. You invite in some public policy makers, decision makers into that, and show that there's an enthusiasm and people that have like come in from abroad to be there, to be a part of this community, and it starts to also like change the perspective from, say, like the government. So how do we incentivize more of these like digital nomads to come here? Can we start thinking about better immigration policies? How do we help them set up companies so that they're incentivized to stay here and build? I think a lot of it is actually inspired by how progressive the UAE has been. Here, a lot of these things that I'm mentioning have been policy in Dubai and Abu Dhabi for quite some time. Easier immigration through digital nomad visas, free zones that are specifically targeting crypto companies. So I think UAE has led in a lot of these topics, and the Solana economic zones are one of our efforts to kind of spread that ethos and philosophy into other parts of the world.
Right. Are they permanent zones, or are they pop-ups that just set up for a month to show people in physically how they can, use the technology, and then once they've got adopted or understood, then you move to another city, another country?
So far, that's the model. It's like the opportunity to kind of test the waters and see what that looks like. But I think as the idea picks up, and there's been a lot of enthusiasm and people thinking about this concept, I think we'll start to see like dedicated zones. So like maybe the Argentinian government would say, okay, this sub neighborhood of the city now becomes like designated as a free zone, the same way that we have like, I think we're in Studio City, you have DMCC, DIFC. You might start to see these kinds of like Solana-dedicated free zones in the future.
Yeah, okay. And I just want you to get your crystal ball out and tell us now, obviously it's a fast-paced industry, so much is happening there. Where do you see the next big thing, whether it's within your, organization or just generally in this space there? Where do you see us headed sort of the next sort of 12 months plus?
Yeah, very hard. I think, well, look, it's the overall crypto industry, I think, is cyclical by nature. People have mapped this out, the 4-year cycle of Bitcoin and how it coincides. So we're definitely in a bull run. There's a lot of early euphoria that'll probably taper off in the next 6 to 12 months, and then you'll see some kind of correction, and then things will kind of regress a little bit. This cycle has been a lot about meme coins, and we'll see that energy kind of die off. So anytime there's the kind of like cyclical action, there'll be some mania, but then there will be like there's elements of that mania, like the foundation, that are valuable and will give us lessons for the future and say like plant the seeds for something more profound later. I think what we're seeing with meme coins is the start of a very, very fundamental shift in capital markets, which is doing away with this old, going public, extremely onerous processes, and only very few like elite institutions get to the point where they get to do an IPO and offer shares to the public. That entire system is now blown up because literally anyone on the planet that can push a few keys can spin up a token and raise capital. That shift will drive a massive, massive change in venture capital, private equity, global capital markets, which will last for decades to come. And it was not just about cat coins and dog coins. In this cycle was a massive shift in the way that the global economy works.
Yeah, something real, something significant there outside of pets. And then my final question is really, can you name any interesting projects, some exciting projects that have come your way that you think, wow, that's a really good idea, or I really like that concept?
Yeah, there's a bunch. I'll try to keep it relatable to people's day-to-day life. I took a taxi the other night, and on the dashboard was a camera by Hive Mapper. That dash cam was earning that driver roughly $100 a day, something like 350 dirhams, per month, $350 dirhams per month. How is that working? He's getting paid in crypto. He had a wallet on his phone, and he's getting paid for this. So the business model behind it is actually attacking Google Maps. So Google Maps, like Street View, is one of the most expensive APIs in the world. They've collected data from all over the world with these vehicles, right, with like a camera on top, and it's very expensive, very hard to scale. What the Hive Mapper team realized is that you can get a dash cam, give it to every Uber driver in the world, and have them running around the city and mapping out all of this data. Do that for like 1/10 of the cost, but then 10 times faster, and then undercut the Google Maps API, which is a massive cash cow. So it's a win-win. Drivers get to monetize their time. They're driving around anyways. They get paid daily, micropayments, often a meaningful amount, especially in emerging markets. And then the businesses that consume this data also win because they have very up-to-date, recent data that is much cheaper than the current alternative.
Very clever idea. Another one, just that maybe you think worth talking about?
Yeah, I mean, it's in the similar space of decentralized physical infrastructure. There's a team in India called Decharge, and electric vehicles are very popular, exploding and growing, especially in cities like Bangalore. The problem is when you need to charge it, and range anxiety. Where am I going to do that? So they've created a device that anyone can stick on the side of their apartment, plug into their electrical mains, and they get compensated for sharing their electricity with whoever comes and plugs in for that. So that, again, is that micropayment is happening in a token on the Solana network, and people are, on one side able to charge their vehicle everywhere.
Side of things, so at least here in the US, we have a few types of financial advisors, the way you can be structured. So there's like wirehouse, so like Morgan Stanley and Merrill Lynch and places like that usually are more like gathering assets and try to like sell portfolio management, things like that. I think those institutions will probably be the first to adopt because they're more focused on gathering in assets and selling a bundle of goods in a sense. And I think that those people will start being trained at BlackRock and at Goldman, things like this. They'll start training for a day or two on, hey, what is this? How do we position it properly in a portfolio? How do we sell it? I don't think for a while most of those people actually most of the advisors will actually understand it to the depth they should, but at least enough to sell it as a product. And that's, it's sort of a win, sort of not. Then you have other people who are just more like insurance type companies or like sort of not very great financial advisors. They're going to be, some of them will take a while just because they're, stodgy in their old ways. And some of them will be pretty quick because they can, maybe they manage a small practice and they can have some flexibility. I think the people who will probably be last are the firms like mine. So my firm structure is what's called a registered investment advisor, or an RIA. So as an RIA, like generally speaking, RIAs are like good, in-depth, comprehensive financial planning. And you would think that if that's the goal, like, most RIAs are structured where the financial advice has to be under fiduciary duty. You would think that we would be the first to adopt this. But most people, when they go through the like certified financial planner curriculum or CFA, things like that, they're just so inundated with the market is efficient, boglehead type of looking at things that anything that would disrupt their delicate point of view of maybe there are market inefficiencies, or maybe there's ways to achieve alpha, or maybe there's something wrong about the efficient frontier hypothesis or anything like that, you can't say those things. And those are the people that are going to be, I think, really hard to shake up. They've buried their head in the sands. They think that just indexing all day is the way to go. And not that that's the worst thing ever, but like you have to consider that maybe our money's broken. So I think those people will take a while. As far as so that's the financial planner. It will pick up, but I think it's going to pick up first from the sales-based type people, and then it'll take a while. Like I would venture to say that most people, I'm part of financial planning groups with people like me that just don't understand Bitcoin, and I'd venture to say that half of them, at least today, will not know that Bitcoin hit 100,000 last night. And then the vast majority of them that do see that will say that, man, that tulip bubble is persisting even more. It's even more speculative type and even more dangerous than it was, a year ago at 40,000 or whatever it was a year ago. Not understanding the game theory that's actually playing out right in front of them.
Yeah, but isn't that part of the problem that they're worried about this volatility? Because obviously they've got short track records. They tend to be volatile. Obviously, we might have seen a bit more stability now, but that hasn't been the case before. So there is still a big risk, isn't there, in investing there? I just wonder, for some of them, they might say, look, it's still too soon, and I don't want to put my clients in for that level of exposure. What would you say to that as a reason?
Yeah, I guess a couple things. One, you mentioned to that level, like at that level of exposure. Well, you have to consider just proper portfolio sizing. Like portfolio sizing is a fantastic way just to manage risk. Super simple. Two, I think a lot of people have a incorrect definition of risk, and they have commingled risk and volatility to mean the same thing. And risk and volatility are not synonymous. Risk and volatility become more and more correlated as time horizons get compressed. So obviously, if you're in a highly volatile asset and you need that money in 1 hour, that's super risky. But if it's moving up down a ton and the overall trend line is upward and you need that money in 20 years, in my opinion, that's probably a lot safer than something that stays absolutely flat in nominal terms and goes down in real terms. I'm talking about the dollar here. $1 is, it is flatlined. It is the basis right now for nominal returns. But in real returns, the dollar goes down by what 2 to 10% per year, 3% roughly if we're looking at CPI. If you're a real person who spends money on real life, it's certainly more than 2 to 3%. And then we have to argue that having a dollar today and needing a dollar tomorrow, that's a very safe thing to be in the U.S. right now. Obviously, we're not in hyperinflationary territory at the moment. However, if you have that dollar today and you need exactly $1 of purchasing power in 20 years, owning that non-volatile asset is outrageously risky. So that's a really simple way of looking at it. But if you can get people to admit that, yes, they're in that sense, there is a difference between volatility and risk, then you can start peeling away at the layers, and they're exposing that they're arguing this from at least that argument is coming from a false premise. And you can start chipping away at those things.
Yeah, no, understood. The time frame's very important here. What about when it comes to that diversified portfolio? What percentage would you recommend the average portfolio would put into Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies when they've obviously got, their global funds and unit trusts and mutual funds? What percent? 5%, 10%? What sort of figure would you give?
All right. So obviously, all disclosures. Don't take this as investment advice. Talk to your personal advisor. And this is just our average. So our average client here, generally at the moment, I would say, client right now is probably exposed to about 45% of their total investable assets. That was lower a couple of years ago. So we're looking, most of this is we're going to buy and we're going to hold and pretend that doesn't exist for a very long time. And then some of it we're getting more tactical with, especially if you own a very sizable percent of your net worth. Maybe we should look at rebalancing at some point, be it for behavioral risks or for, again, sequence of return risks. Like if you have 100% of your net worth in Bitcoin and you need some of those dollars in 1 week, we're probably going to take some of that money off the table today. Obviously, now you're at 99% or whatever. So that's where we are tactical with some of your holdings. But yeah, a few years ago, so back in, was it 21 or so, our average client was like 20%. And then when Bitcoin went from 69,000 to 16,000, I had a lot of conversations with a lot of clients about, hey, we're going to reduce what we're doing towards these normal buckets. Maybe you're maxing out your 401k plan or things like that. We're going to drop those down and we're going to put our foot on the gas to increase our DCA to Bitcoin. And obviously, if you just throw fuel on the fire at your DCA for Bitcoin, your dollar cost average of Bitcoin starting at 16,000, you just keep doing that for the next few years, it's going to gobble up a lot more of your portfolio. And that's where we're at today. And in general, we have not started rebalancing. So yeah, it's most people who come to me, I'll put it this way. Again, don't apply this to yourself personally. You have to talk with someone about your personal financial life. But our clients right now, our lowest client is 10% of total investable assets. And that's including our retired, clients who are in their 80s. We have clients who are in their 20s up to in their late 80s. And that is the absolute lowest at the moment.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm also really odd as a financial advisor, and we manage these things very closely and specifically. So, yeah.
Now we're going to take a short break and come back.
Hi, I'm Thierry, the founder of A Crypto Radio. I have been helping and supporting people on their crypto journeys for many years, and now I'm excited to launch The Crypto Radio, which carries on my mission. We have built a stellar team of media professionals, and we are all excited to launch this unique concept, an online global radio show dedicated to crypto and blockchain. Join us.
R is for wrecked. Wrecked, R-E-K-T, means severe financial loss due to a wrong investment. An example of a wrecked situation is a crypto user who invests heavily in a coin only for them to face a heavy loss. The word wrecked also points to a digital asset itself losing value, where one could say X coin got wrecked. Stay tuned for more crypto A to Z explainers. Welcome back to the Crypto Radio. Do you stick to just Bitcoin, or do you look at other altcoins, some of the major cryptocurrencies outside of the king of crypto?
No, I stick to Bitcoin. I do have clients who own some altcoins in some capacity, and we talk through why that is and what their plan is with them. The reason I stick with Bitcoin only, I personally have to consider um, what is the foundational issue that was being set out to solve with all of the crypto world. And obviously, I believe that Satoshi properly identified the problem, and that was we need a money that can be traded peer to peer over the internet that's decentralized and has a fixed unit, fixed number of units, and Bitcoin does that. Um, there are obviously other cryptocurrencies that might have other use cases, but we have to identify, is that use case something that we're trying to optimize and solve for, versus going for this main thing that I think is super important, and that's where we opt into Bitcoin. Again, I have some clients who do own altcoins in some capacity. We have very honest conversations as to why they own those. They are usually, hey, I bought this thing, it's a meme coin, and I'm gonna most people that I see with meme coins are like, they're basically meme coins for most people are scratch offs for Gen Z, or if you're older, you can own them too. But really, it's the modern day scratch off. You're gonna go like buy the newest goofy Pepe coin or Costco hot dog coin or whatever these things are that pop up. You know that you literally are buying this thing because it's sort of funny to own and hoping that it'll pump your bags before it goes down. And if you can admit that's why, then maybe you can own some, but just admit. Now, if you think that owning Costco hot dog coin is actually a good financial planning move beyond like total speculative, like I'm doing a scratch off, we might have some problems. But yeah, from a financial planning perspective and what we proactively recommend, it's just Bitcoin.
Yeah, okay. And funds, you get a commission. When you're an advisor, normally the model is, right, if you sell a fund, you'll get a commission from the investment house, the fund manager. And is that a reason why maybe some financial advisors are not recommending Bitcoin, because they wouldn't get commission off of Bitcoin, so they wouldn't be, they wouldn't get any money from the commission side of it. That's why they're not advising it, or is it just they're scared of it and they don't fully understand it?
Both, depending on the person and their ethics, and their desire to be compensated over their desire to do what's best for clients. Yeah, some people it probably has strictly to do with how they're paid, which is really sad. Like, yeah, you should do what's best for your clients no matter what. There are some people like that, and that's why I mentioned, and maybe I might be way off, and I'm sorry if I am, but I do think that's why like wirehouses and places that will manage to put this into like products they can sell. That's why I think they will probably be first to like majority to recommend it will be those types of places, and they'll go through training at their big firms to figure out a good way to sell this as a part of a full investment portfolio and be compensated for it, and then they'll roll out their whole army of financial advisors, sales minions to sell it as part of a portfolio. So there's them, and then yeah, people like me who work in an RIA structure typically are like held to a deep fiduciary standard and really want to do, like most of my peers, I'm part of multiple financial planning groups of super nerdy financial advisors like me who love reading and staying up to date on like tax code and stuff, like, and they're great people who really want to help their clients. And for them, most of them truly do care more about their clients than their own pocketbook. So for them, it's for the majority of them, it's not, hey, I'm not paid off of this. It's they just don't understand it and they think it's best to not talk about it. And again, we're getting to a point where ignorance is no longer a valid excuse. And that's why that goes back to the question you had earlier about the fiduciary duty side of things. I think for a while that was a valid reason. It was like, hey, I just don't understand it, and I personally I can't look into every single thing. Maybe there's some product out there that some guy is shouting from the rooftops is the best thing ever, and I just have no clue exists. And I can't be, I can't go to jail because I did not talk about that one weird thing out there that I had no idea about. But you get to a point of like, the information is out there, it's so in your face. If you're ignoring this, now that is a breach of duty. Anyways, I think that's where most advisors are in my type of firm structure. It's less about how they're paid, more about like they just don't understand it. And at this point, it's because they're burying their head in the sand and don't want to learn about it.
Yeah, and of course we've got this trend now with exchange traded funds, ETFs. Do you think they are, a good way in for advisors? Because rather than directly into Bitcoin, ETFs might be a solution to tap into this this Bitcoin sort of bull market we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, that'll certainly make it easier from a sales perspective. If you're getting compensated based off of maybe a front load or something like that, where all right, however much you put into a portfolio, will pay you a 5% upfront on that. Like, all right, you probably couldn't do that through Bitcoin, but now if you have that as part of a portfolio, there you get your commission. Or if you're paid off of a strict asset under management percentage, and then that would be, most firms would be able to then allot that as an asset that's under management because it's inside of an ETF. So those sorts of things will make it easier for advisors to begin onboarding clients versus the owning Bitcoin directly in cold storage. It's like, okay, now we're facing a lot of quote unquote issues that maybe I would say aren't really issues. They're just things you need to go learn about. One of those issues is like, how am I paid on this? So there's a lot of people who are not adopting. There are some people who are not adopting because of that problem, and they will adopt the ETF because that's a solution there. But then also you have other things that people come across. I hear this is like, well, what about the compliance side of things of telling clients to go and buy Bitcoin, or that's too much work to versus buying an ETF. Now I have to go send them to an exchange, and how do I vet those exchanges, and then how do I help them understand how to store it properly, on an exchange versus a hot wallet versus a cold storage wallet or a multi-sig. You run into all these supposed problems with this asset they just don't understand. So just having a easy packaged ETF is a lot easier thing just to go and sell and call it a day, because it's super similar to what they've done all day for the last 40 years.
Yeah, absolutely. The Crypto Radio, we're aimed at beginners and novices and the crypto curious, and one of the things that we struggle with is the jargon and the technical terms. Do you think that's also a factor, that there's a lot of the bro talk as well as L1s, L2s, and some of these things, even like altcoins, that there's just so much jargon that makes it so hard for people to even start to understand this industry?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's helpful for me to explain this to people because I'm sort of an idiot. So I explain things in ways that I can understand. And if you keep it there, I don't do it to insult people, but because like I need to be explained things in a simple way. So whenever I talk to our clients and I introduce, hey, I let them know up front. Again, they've worked with me for a while now before I bring this up typically. And so I've already developed a level of trust. And maybe in this particular conversation, now we're going to finally start talking about their investments. We've already talked about taxes and these other areas. We're going to talk about investments today. And I let them know when we get to the investment conversation that we're going to talk about some stuff. I'm going to sound like I'm crazy, but hear me out. And then I introduce I and our clients, we own Bitcoin, and here's what it is. And at that point, I first allow them I open the conversation up. Have you heard about this thing? Do you know about it? And if so, what have you heard and what do you know? And just allow them to get off their chest. That also allows me to gauge. Do they know what this is at all? Are they talking from a place of 2017 FUD, or is this they have a reasonable understanding? I want to gauge where they're at from a conversation level. Also, if someone really has a deep-seated dislike for this asset, I can't ignore that thing and just talk past it, because if I just talk past it the whole time, they're not going to hear anything I'm saying. They're just going to sit here focusing on their thing they think is a trump card. So I first have to invite them, hey, what do you know about this thing? What do you understand about it? And if they're sitting there, they hate it because it's going to boil the oceans and burn down the world or something, I have to allow them to get that off their chest first. So, and then, I don't talk about running a node and hash rate and all that stuff. Like, that's going to make their eyes glaze over. We need to talk about what it is. Like, why is this important? And for you to understand that, you have to talk through that. We talk through the history of money, the history of stores of value, and then a general overview of the cryptography and the problems that these cypherpunks and computer scientists were facing starting like the 1970s and really the 90s and early thousands that Satoshi managed to crack the nut on with Byzantine General and double spend, these sorts of things. Like, okay, and that helps them understand why this is actually important versus thinking it's some, young 20s bro who just created something in their basement so they can go buy a Lamborghini. If we can actually demonstrate from a first principles side of things. So yeah, I try not to use those words. Then you also have the same side of things. It's like some people are like, dude, I just can't own this because I don't understand it. And there's a lot of problems with that. One, I would argue all day that Bitcoin is way easier to understand than how the US dollar or the euro or any other currency works. Like, I tried to explain to my wife a few months ago the difference of M1, M2, M3, the amount of fiat in circulation right now and how we gauge those things. It's terrible. It's a terrible process. The Fed and monetary policy and fiscal policy. It's like, you want to talk about complex? Let's go there. Bitcoin is way easier. I can literally show you what it is and how it works in an hour. Like, pretty simple. So one, I don't think that's a valid excuse. Two, maybe you're a genius. I'm not. I interact with things all the time that I have zero clue how they exist. I don't need to know exactly how it works. Like right now, I'm talking to you and you're like thousands of miles away and we're having a conversation in real time. I have no clue how we're doing this. Blows my mind. I know it works and I know it's pretty important and it's amazing. And I know that like this thing is not just it's not a scam. I have some level of trust in it. And that level of trust has come from some level of education, but I don't have to fully understand how, Zoom or the internet works on a technical side of things. I don't know how most like basic plumbing in my house works. It doesn't mean I'm not going to use the plumbing in my house. That'd be crazy. So to pretend that you can't interact with Bitcoin because you don't fully understand like the depths of how it works, try to apply that to the rest of your life and see how that goes.
Yeah, good point. What would you say, Jim, is the biggest misconception about Bitcoin? Is it the scams? Is it the those sorts of threats? Is it the environmental impact it might have? People's understanding because they can't see it. What do you think is the biggest misconception that stops people, being like you and being more pro Bitcoin?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. It is, in my opinion, it's the first principles concept of what is Bitcoin. And if you can address that, everything else can start falling into place. So that is, Bitcoin is money. And most people, at least in the US, I would venture to say elsewhere, have a very short-sighted view of what money is. We're informed based off of, maybe our lifetime or a little bit further back when fiat currencies were, the form of money, or the form of money. And we have commingled money and currency. And we think that, money is the US dollar and that's it. Money has to be issued by government and it has to be in a paper form. And we have to have inflation for things to work because we've been so force-fed Keynesian economics and these sorts of things. So if you can help them understand what is money from a historical, actual point of view, and that Bitcoin is that, it's better money, then things start falling into place. Then you can start addressing why the energy usage is actually super important. It is there to secure our money problem. And having sound money is outrageously important. Most people don't understand why sound money is important. They don't know what money is actually meant to do. So you have to start with that. And then everything else, yeah, there are other peripheral, quote unquote, issues that will come up, but you can address those well once you've identified the root problem that Bitcoin addresses. If you don't understand that Bitcoin is important from a like civilization, money, all the waste that goes into fiat currencies, if you don't understand that and you go straight to like, oh, but Bitcoin consumes a lot of energy, it will seem like wasted energy. But if you recognize that it consumes a lot of energy because of all of these things, and here's the energy that it saves in lieu of having our current, status quo, okay, now it's starting to make sense.
Yeah. Well, I wonder when we'll see the next phase when it stops being an asset and tradable, speculative, and actually is being used as a form of money, as a form of payment. You know, of course, there is some adoption. There are some companies doing it, but sort of in dribs and drabs when it may be more widespread, you know, adopted as a form of payment. Whether we will ever get to that now, or whether it's, you know, that's just not going to happen.
I do think that I don't know if this will be in 10 years or in 100 years. You know, even was it Warren Buffett or was it Charlie who admitted a few years ago that even they think that the U.S. dollar will not be the global reserve currency by the end of this century. They did not give a statement as to what they thought it was. They certainly did not think it was Bitcoin. But I think they even recognize that, yeah, the U.S. dollar is collapsing, is probably no longer going to be the reserve currency by the end of this century. So, you know, if you actually pay in Bitcoin, I think that will play out. I mean, I think that Bitcoin is money, and I think it's going to gobble up every other form of money. You know, value ultimately gravitates to the scarcest and hardest form of money out there, and I think that's Bitcoin. So it will gravitate to that naturally, just a black hole that's consuming everything else. Now we can get to the technical side of things. Maybe the U.S. and every other currency adopts a Bitcoin standard. The U.S. is now the U.S. dollar. We went from a gold standard to fiat, and now we go back to a Bitcoin standard, and maybe $1 bill equals 100 sats or satoshis. You know, for the newbies out there, like, you know, you don't have to buy one Bitcoin. You can. There's the smallest level account right now is called a satoshi, and a satoshi is 1/100 millionth of a Bitcoin. So yeah, maybe one day $1 is 100 satoshis, and you go to the store and you pay in dollars, but that dollar is, you know, backed by 100 satoshis, and it's like, you know, the gold or the U.S. dollars nearly a century ago now, you could turn in, it says this is redeemable for gold, and you had this security, like, guarantee on our money, and that disappeared when we left the gold standard. So maybe one day it's, hey, this dollar is redeemable for 100 satoshis. Then at that point, it's like, oh, well, Jim, it never actually came out where you're spending actual Bitcoin. It's like, yeah, but we're still there, basically. Or maybe the dollar goes away and we literally are, you go to the store and you're paying for something in satoshis, in Bitcoin.
Yeah, there's still much to play out, definitely there. I just look forward to the day when I can buy pizza. I can buy more pizza with my Bitcoin. It'll be much easier. Everybody would accept my Bitcoin for a good old pizza.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be full circle from the first transaction.
2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin.
Absolutely wild.
Yeah, crazy. Jim, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I love your honesty. You know, as you said, keep it simple, treat me like an idiot, and that's the best way to learn.
Yeah, no, it was great. I appreciate the conversation.
Brilliant. Jim Kreider, CEO of Intentional Living FB and certified financial planner based in the US. Thank you for talking to the Crypto Radio.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
The Crypto Radio. Tune in and feel the glow. Digital coins we grow. All you need to know. Crypto Radio. Tune in and feel the glow. Digital coins we grow. All you need to know. The Crypto Radio. Tune in and feel the glow. Digital coins we grow. All you need to know.
Hello, this is Justin Harper from the Crypto Radio. Now, Abdu Rozik has a massive following of more than 8 million people thanks to his funny and addictive memes. He's now moving into the world of crypto and is launching his own token, but he wants to make sure it is done in the right way. We spoke to him to find out more. Why did you decide to launch your own token?
I want to keep going still, and I want to keep going in the crypto world because, like I told you, Sam, I'm new. I want to learn more. Yeah. I want to understand how they're making, but I want to make crazy. I want to be the smallest person. I want to become the smallest person in crypto.
Did you say you were the smallest person in crypto?
Yes. but from outside small, from inside very big. If you are a good human being, if you are respecting people, if you are a nice person, and whole of the tire of the world, everyone will respect you. If you are a bad person, nobody will love you, nobody will give you respect. It's example. But it's the coins also same. If you are looking after coins good, if you are doing good, people will respect you, people will follow you, people will buy your things. But if you are see little money and then take it and then whatever you do it, and then after people will starting hitting you and they will not follow you and you will get in big trouble.
Okay, so if it's not about making money, then why are you doing this?
I want to show my memes. I want to go to the real moon, to people see, to people support. I want to make crazy, yes. This is the meme.
Oh, that's the meme. Oh,
His name is Burger.
Oh, it's a camel.
Yes.
Oh, right. To keep up to date with more crypto news and coin launches, be sure to keep listening to thecryptoradio.com and reading our articles online too.
Crypto Radio. Tune in and feel the glow. Digital coins we grow. All you need to know. The Crypto Radio. Tune in and feel the glow. Digital coins we grow. All you need to know.
Thank you for tuning into the Crypto Radio. I'm your host Kareem and you're listening to The Pulse. How does one lose millions in crypto? Well, sometimes it's not through hacks or scams. Sometimes it's as simple as misplacing a piece of paper, or in today's first story, possibly having your housekeeper accidentally throw away your fortune.
Crypto Radio.
A well-known YouTube pianist, Lord Venitero, recently lost access to 4 bitcoins. This isn't just about losing cryptocurrencies. It's a story that teaches us a crucial lesson about digital asset security. Reportedly, Venitero lost the private key to his wallet. A private key is essentially the password that gives us access to his cryptocurrency. The key was written on a paper, which is actually a recommended practice, but was misplaced, possibly discarded during a house cleaning. But here's where the story gets more interesting. This wasn't his first financial setback. He previously made losses in the Brazilian stock market, and like many investors, fell into the trap of panic selling Bitcoin during a market dip. These incidents highlight 2 critical aspects of investing: the importance of secure key management and the role of emotional decision making while you're investing. You know, losing 4 bitcoins would keep most people up at night, but imagine losing 8,000 of them, and that's exactly where they are, buried under thousands of tons of garbage. That's exactly what's happening in the landfills in Wales, where one man's trash quite literally contains another man's digital treasures. In Wales, James Howells continues his quest to search a landfill for a hard drive containing 8,000 Bitcoin, currently worth an astounding $800 million. This story raises fascinating questions about persistence versus practicality. When does determination become delusion? The environmental impact of searching through a landfill is significant and the costs are enormous. Yet with such a life-changing amount at stake, it's understandable why someone would find it hard to let go. For our listeners considering investing in crypto, here are the essential security practices. Store your crypto private keys offline, but have a secure system for organizing them. Create multiple backup copies stored in different secure locations, and never keep crypto private keys in a digital format or on the cloud. Consider using hardware wallets for significant investments, and most importantly, treat emotional control as your most valuable investment tool. From a pianist's lost paper to a man's quest through trash, these stories remind us that in the wild world of crypto, sometimes our biggest enemy isn't hackers or market crashes. It's ourselves. And maybe, just maybe, our housekeepers. This has been Kareem on the Pulse, where we keep our fingers on the beating heart of crypto. Stay safe, stay smart, and don't forget to back up those keys multiple times. Until next time.
The Crypto Radio. Tune in and feel the glow. Digital coins we grow. All you need to know. Crypto Radio. Tune in and feel the glow. go. Digital coins we grow. All you need to know.
Hi, I'm Thierry, the founder of A Crypto Radio. I have been helping and supporting people on their crypto journeys for many years, and now I'm excited to launch The Crypto Radio, which carries on my mission. We have built a stellar team of media professionals, and we are all excited to launch this unique concept, an online global radio show dedicated to crypto and blockchain. Join us.
The Crypto Radio. Tune in and feel the glow. Digital coins we grow.
So, welcome to the Crypto Radio with me, your host, Justin Harper, and I'm lucky enough to be joined by the Crypto Kid, who joins us at the Crypto Creators Conference in Dubai. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me on.
So, what are you doing at the Four Cs?
The Four Cs, it's a very interesting conference. I've actually part organized it with Bybit, and it's kind of a reiteration of the annual get-together that Bybit does hold in various cities around the world, which is called the Bybit Reload. It was usually focused on affiliates and partners of Bybit, where we do a gala dinner and we go to the Formula One. But this year round, the visionary founder of Bybit, Ben, he wanted to do a different style of conference where creators would actually benefit from learning from traditional, so Web 2 creators. So Web 3 would learn from Web 2 to appeal to a greater audience, to get Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies to reach to the normal individual content consumer. Because the way that we do our content is very unorthodox. We have all the knowledge and we have all the research, but the way that we put our content together is just through screen recording our phone or screen recording our laptop. It's nothing sophisticated. It's nothing designed to go viral or to catch the public attention. So going to this conference, learning from people like Zach King and Randy Zuckerberg has been pretty incredible in the sense that we learned how we can adapt our storytelling and the way that we piece our content together to make it more appealing to the normal average consumer.
Right, and so as you mentioned there, it's sort of maybe a little bit behind the curve when it came to creating the content in the crypto space. That would surprise a lot of people, given the industry is very fast-paced and very dynamic. So, you know, that surprised me as well. So what would you say would be the big takeaways for the crypto community from the content creators?
The biggest takeaway I would say is that we got was that there is a clear difference between the two types of content that people are used to. Number one, the content that we do ourselves, the crypto people content, if you want to call it, it is definitely much different to what gets 1 million views and what gets 10 million views on YouTube and Instagram. But the thing is, what the crypto content creators are good at is monetizing a small amount of views. So usually we make a lot of money from a lot smaller amount of views compared to what traditional creators make. So I think it turned out to be kind of an interchange of not just the people that came in to speak, but we were able to share a lot of value to them as well, which was a kind of an interesting take that never usually happens in a conference. But I personally took, I don't want to speak for on behalf of everyone, what I personally took away was that I could definitely improve my storytelling, incorporate more creativity other than just relying on giving a lot of data and a lot of information that could possibly get a lot of people to click off and not follow through with watching the entirety of the content.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. So how do you make crypto content engaging when a lot of it is about numbers, right? And projections and Bitcoin and Solana, whatever that, how do you make, especially for a mainstream novice audience, how do you make it interesting, I guess, on social media when attention spans are so short?
Actually, there was a few creators that I used to watch in the previous bull market in 2021. A lot of finance creators had an approach of, getting a hamster to decide if I put $1,000 into Bitcoin or Ethereum, or there was a lot of creative takes on what could appeal to a larger group of audience, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really provide you value. It's just providing you entertainment. So there's an important balance of what you want to give. Do you want to give entertainment or do you want to provide information? So that's the balance that I'm looking for, but I guess you could pivot to a more entertaining style of content. It just depends on what type of creator you are. I mean, I have a lot of friends who are just technical focused, giving technical analysis, trading focused, a lot of crypto research focused, and there's a lot of creators that provide more entertaining pieces of content. So it just depends on the person. I think at the end of the day, what matters is, one, reaching out to as many people as possible in terms of educating people that are looking for education. And number two is, of course, making money from the content that you deliver.
Right. And just mentioning a point you made earlier, that it might be a smaller audience, but it's higher value. Is that right? So you mean that you can make more money in advertising from the sort of crypto advertisers, even though it's a smaller audience and it's niche, because you're never going to get 40, 50 million at this stage. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, because the difference is that crypto audience, or any audience within a particular niche, are a lot more likely to watch your content on a daily basis and follow up with you, and because you give analysis that provides actual potential financial value. So if you deliver good information, then they're a lot more likelier to watch your content for different reasons apart from just entertainment. And that is why in that community, especially in the crypto industry, there is a lot more value compared to just the traditional form of content.
Yeah. And then for you, where's your biggest platform? Where do you get most engagement?
On YouTube.
On YouTube. And that's you making a certain style of video, what's your sort of brand? Not your brand as a crypto kid, but when it comes to the content, what do you say is your big? Is it education? Is it short snippets? Where do you set yourself apart from the other people creating crypto content?
So I have three different venues of information essentially. Number one is creating 8 to 10 minutes of short, quick technical analysis. What is the latest breaking news? What is the latest price update? Where do I think the price will go? While having a little bit of entertainment attached to it. And then I have longer videos between 25 to 30 minutes that go full in-depth into macroeconomics, crypto projects, and it's just a lot more detail and information focused that is very valuable to the right type of person, but of course it's not really entertaining to watch, so to speak. And the final one is doing live shows. So we do daily live shows Monday to Friday on the Moon channel, where we give a breakdown of technical analysis, news, and a lot more, but it's with a larger group of people, so you get different takes from different people that have made it successfully in crypto. So those are the three different venues of information that I do.
Right, okay. And then when it comes to the actual content itself, what do you enjoy the most about making the content?
I used to be a musical theater actor, and I had to kind of pivot away from musical theater and voice acting following COVID. And during that pivot, I came across crypto because in 2020, when all the stages were closed, I made a small sum of money which I was looking to invest and potentially grow. So I randomly came across a YouTube video that talked about Ethereum and how that's going to reach $50,000 by the end of 2020. That didn't happen, but it allowed me to embark on a journey where I could study cryptocurrencies and study blockchain. So that was my first point of entry. And when I researched the financial system and why, fiat itself is a potential scam, I kind of fell in love with the idea that Bitcoin aims to resolve the financial system. So whenever I deliver content, whenever I talk about it, I feel very passionate and I feel very good about myself for helping even one person just understand why Bitcoin is so valuable and how eventually it will become a necessity to own Bitcoin, rather than just buying it as a speculative asset to make money in the short term.
Yeah, and talking about Bitcoin and its roots, how do you feel about a decentralized financial sort of tool becoming more centralized with a lot of the big banks, institutions, and governments? You think that was inevitable that would happen, or you think maybe there might be another twist to this story?
I think DeFi becoming more centralized or banks using it is inevitable, but there's two different takes. So the first one is that there's something called a private blockchain, where essentially institutions can build on layer 1 solutions like XRP and develop their own kind of layer 2 system like Ripple, and they can build their own Swift or internal private blockchain if they want to build a blockchain from scratch. That is very closed off. Still, it aims to keep a public ledger and have transparent transactions and reduce the time of transactions from, let's say, 3 days in traditional finance for you to go to a merchant and buy an iPhone with your Visa card, and for the money to go from your account to the other account, that takes 3 days, or the same thing with when you purchase stocks. So blockchain is very useful in reducing time of transaction, therefore increasing the velocity of the transfer of money. And of course, that leads to an increase in overall GDP. So yes, that will happen. And banks like JP Morgan and banks like Morgan Stanley, they are incorporating it currently onto their current systems. I think JP Morgan is developing something called TCN. So it's been under development for a long time. And I think the most recent or the most primary example that we will see in the upcoming few months will be a transfer of digitizing old stocks or a lot of financial assets and putting them onto the blockchain to potentially enable 24-hour trading, and like I said, reduce the time of settlements for those stocks to increase overall GDP.
Yeah, and of course, you know, we're in a very fast-growing space here, very dynamic, lots happens on a daily basis. Now for you, you're 17 years old, is that right?
Correct, yeah.
And so, you know, a lot of young people are getting into this space. What would be your advice for people who say, you know, I love what the crypto kid's doing, I want to be the next crypto kid? What would you say?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of kids my age get into this for the very wrong reasons. It is not, there is no such thing as quick money. That's a concept that does not exist. Everything comes with a lot of hard work, especially in any industry. And the reason why crypto is a lot more lucrative than traditional industries is because it's an emerging industry. So anything that's upcoming, if you're able to catch it fast, and execute while a lot of people don't believe in it or a lot of people don't know about it, then you're going to become successful regardless. And that was my luck with blockchain. Maybe in 10 years there's a completely brand new industry, and that will be the case where you can make a lot of lucrative returns. But for people that are passionate about crypto specifically, don't be passionate to make quick money. Again, doesn't exist. Especially if it's going to be your first bull market cycle, you're going to lose a lot of money, make a lot of mistakes. The best thing is to focus on this industry if you actually believe in the technology itself, and try and find positions or try and find jobs or people that you admire, companies that you admire, and get to intern for them, learn from them. This doesn't have to be crypto, it can be any industry. And learning from people that have made it successful, and learning from people who you idolize and envision to become someday, is the most valuable thing that a young person can do, because that experience you build from a young age will allow you to have a lot more skills compared to the average university or college graduate, especially if you're in Dubai, because 99% of people are not exposed to the opportunities that we have in the UAE. So I would drift away from the concept of making fast money. That's not existent. And I would focus on building, learning from important people, and working towards at a young age to do what you love when you grow older.
Yeah, and talking of getting older, with the crypto kid, when you get older, would you have to rebrand the crypto adult, or you think crypto kid can last a lot longer?
I think crypto kid has a nice ring to it and has good brand equity. So I don't think of rebranding. Of course, it's not something that I will do forever. I do have other pursuits that I will follow. I like to do content because I like sharing my analysis. It's a way for me to consolidate my learning, and I enjoy doing it. So it's nice. It builds a good personal brand. But I do think in the next 5 to 10 years I will be on to different things. So I'm just focusing on what works at the moment.
Okay, so and for now you are the crypto kid and you're on the crypto radio. So thank you very much for talking to us.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for having me on.
The Crypto Radio's A to Z of crypto and blockchain terms. S for stablecoins. S is for stablecoins. A stablecoin is a cryptocurrency pegged to a stable asset, like fiat currency. They're also gold-backed cryptocurrencies. One example of a stablecoin is Tether, which is backed by the US dollar. As the name suggests, they tend to be more stable than other coins, as they are backed by real-world and less volatile assets. Stablecoins are easy to buy and are listed on most cryptocurrency exchanges, including Binance and Coinbase. For more information on stablecoins, visit thecryptoradio.com.
The Crypto Radio price update. Bitcoin price is $93,263, down by 0.88%. Ethereum price is $3,333.4, down by 1.68%. BNB price is $706.5, up by 0.42%. Solana price is $190.9, down by 1.37% based on the last 24 hours. Curious to know more? Check out thecryptoradio.com.
The Crypto Radio. Tune in and feel the glow. Digital coins we grow. All you need to know.
Hello and thank you for tuning into the Crypto Radio. I'm joined by Agne in the Bitcoin MENA conference. How are you, Agne?
Hi, pleasure to be here.
My pleasure as well. So you've been in the crypto industry for such a long time, almost 7 years, and we want to just learn about your crypto journey. So can you give us like an introduction about that, please?
Of course, my crypto journey started actually a bit earlier than 2017. I learned about Bitcoin, I think, back in 2012 or 13, but I didn't believe it. I'm like, this is internet money. However, in 2016 and 17, I started understanding that this is actually the future of finance. How people did not believe the telephone will work, that internet will work. And I actually bought Alex Tapscott's book, and I was like, this is going to be revolutionary. And this is evolution of what we had before. So I actually enrolled to study master's degree of digital currencies and blockchain at the University of Nicosia. I think there are more universities offering such degrees now, but at that time there was the only one. And I thought, okay, if I want to study and understand what is happening, I have to do this properly. So that was my journey actually from education. But at the same time, I was playing with the markets. We called ourselves traders, but I was trying to apply traditional technical analysis, etc. Now we understand that it's not that straightforward. It's not that straightforward as a stock market. There are a lot of whales that can push the price, or let's say, it's not basically that straightforward for a normal individual to understand how the markets work. Where does the liquidity come from? Liquidity meaning the money that are flowing into the market. So for any retailer that say, okay, I'm going to be a trader, you have to understand that there are a lot of algorithms. We call them bots, robots. There are a lot of whales meaning people with a lot of money who can move the market, and you will never be able to understand what happened, right?
So like there's always this debate about you can be a trader for a living or you can't be a trader for a living. So in your opinion, in crypto, is it not sustainable to just make a pure living purely from trading or as a professional technical analyst? Because many people push this idea that you can live off your laptop and trade.
I think it is possible. If somebody would like to be a trader, then I would start with a very simple coins such as Bitcoin and USD. And then you see, because the fluctuations are much less than you could expect with other coins. We call them altcoins. Or some people can get lucky and buy meme coins. However, the meme coins can rise very quickly and they can go down very quickly. So if you want to dedicate yourself as a trader, you have to be in front of computer at all times. And we have all the trading programs and your CoinMarketCap, so CoinGecko on your mobile phone, so that you can react very quickly. So I think to answer your question, it is possible. Of course, it is very risky.
99%, there's the data that shows us.
Yes, but everything in life is risky. So in order to have success, you have to take risk. But it's very important to be educated.
And the path that you took, it's a bit unique because most people that we talk to, they tell us that they get their information online or they learn from others because there wasn't any formal way to learn, the world of cryptocurrency or Bitcoin. So do you advise people to, study this in universities if they offer it?
I chose this path because I was very studious. I like education. I studied actually finance in London. And because at this time I could not find much information whatsoever except this course. There were some YouTubers already talking about this and this. I'm like, no, I want to go deep into this and study. However, it is time consuming. I would advise for people to take some maybe easier courses, something that would be give you a background, give you a beginning, and then feel a pulse on the market on a daily basis. Follow crypto Twitter, watch YouTube, and I would also advise to follow economical and political developments in the world, because everything affects one way or another. So now people are asking why Bitcoin is 100,000, etc., etc. All of this is affected. It's not only because of the market. The whole world is interconnected. So we have to be aware on a daily basis. Walk in life with open eyes, and then you can make your own decisions.
Now, as right now we're celebrating, the 100K mark. We're attending the Bitcoin Mina in Abu Dhabi. It's happening for the first time in the Middle East. The Bitcoin community is celebrating globally. Like, what's your outlook for Bitcoin in the next decades or 10 to 20 years?
I mean, 1 million for sure.
1 million for sure.
What I studied economics. I remember it was my first class. So there is a demand and there is a supply. And in the intersection, there is a price. So we all know that Bitcoin has limited supply, right? So what is going to happen if there is more demand? The price is only pushing.
Of course.
So very straightforward as that.
And what would you tell anyone giving a negative connotation that, this is all just something that's a La La Land fantasy or a scam? Like, how would you argue against those people?
I stopped arguing already. Everybody's entitled to have their own opinion. However, I would like to stress, our world is changing. People were skeptical, to repeat myself, skeptical of telephone. People said that the internet will not work. So of course, there will be skeptics in one way or another. You have to understand the financial industry is also developing, because before we used to have, before banknotes, there was a barter deals, right?
Yes.
Then we have like centralized systems. Centralized systems meaning that there is a bank, you go, you put the cash, etc. Now we have cards to pay. So it is evolution. We are evolving step by step. And blockchain, in my opinion, will provide us the rails for the financial future.
And you're currently the head of growth of Wi-Fi.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about this project? And because I saw it's a neobank.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So Wi-Fi is a neobank. To simplify, it's a digital bank. So we're utilizing blockchain technology and also artificial technology. Our goal is to bank everybody. We really want to provide more banking services for people who were never able to access banking services. Like people from the West, they know that it's very easy to go and open a bank account in Europe and in the United States. However, we have a growing population in Asia, in Africa, in the Middle East. You would be surprised the percentage of people that never had access to bank accounts.
Yes. No, I can definitely attest to that, because in such a grand concept, especially since we're here in the Middle East, 70% of the population of the Middle East doesn't have banks because they can't access that minimum account threshold, which is ridiculous. How will people buy their things online? The whole world's going digital, and there's still some people don't have bank accounts. So I really commend what you guys are working on right now, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It was a pleasure talking to you.
Crypto Radio. Tune in and feel the glow. Digital coins we grow. All you need to know.
We are looking for great guests for the Crypto Radio, from those curious about crypto to newbies starting out, experts to mavericks, and everyone in between. We want to hear from you and feature you on the Crypto Radio. We're all about community, from traders to developers, blockchain experts to founders and entrepreneurs. R is for wrecked. Wrecked, R-E-K-T, means severe financial loss due to a wrong investment. An example of a wrecked situation is a crypto user who invests heavily in a coin only for them to face a heavy loss. The word wrecked also points to a digital asset itself losing value, where one could say X coin got wrecked. Stay tuned for more crypto A to Z explainers.
Crypto Radio. Tune in and feel the glow. Digital coins we grow. All you need to know.
Hello Hello, this is Justin Harper from the Crypto Radio, and today I'm joined by Mona Motwani, who is the founder of Ixia Capital. Now, Mona is an investor, an advisor, and an executive in the iGaming industry. She has extensive knowledge of international sports, including governance, business development, and customer relationships. Mona, thank you for joining us. So, Mona, first of all, let's start with gamers and Web3, because I know it's an exciting space. Now, could you just quickly give us a bit of background on, what we're seeing in this space when it comes to blockchain, Web3, gamers, what's really happening in this exciting landscape?
Well, it's a very fascinating industry to begin with. In my last 10 years of my journey, I have seen a lot of transitions. But what fascinates me most is how players are now becoming true stakeholders in their gaming journey. You see, in terms of economics, we are witnessing something exceptional. Players are not just spending money, they are building real value through these games. And that's super cool. Like take decentralized finance integration, for example. Players can now stake their in-game assets for rewards or even use them as collateral or as loans, creating entirely new economic possibilities within gaming ecosystem. It's quite remarkable. When you consider how this opens up opportunities, especially in emerging markets where traditional financial services might be very limited.
So just to recap, so you can play these games, you can earn rewards, and you can actually use the assets you've built up to as collateral to take out a loan. Is that what you said?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the new way of, bringing technology in the picture. It's like, if I give you one example, how you actually make it so easy for the people to understand that they don't even realize that it's a blockchain. Like the perfect example, what is happening is many Web3 games can feel complex at this stage. But what is the real aim? The key challenge and the opportunity here is that how we make it more simpler. The best example is when we are using internet. Majority of people don't even think about TCP and IP protocols. We just browse, right? That's the aim for blockchain, to actually be so well simply integrated that we don't even realize what we are doing a tricky technology.
Yeah,
I would say
that's a good point. So yeah, we use the internet, we don't understand quite how it works, but we just know what it does for us. And when it comes to the blockchain, again, that's a good example that we don't really need to know how the blockchain works. But with Web3 games, and what would be the predecessor? Web2 games? Would you ever call them that?
It's more like a transition of Web2 users to Web3 technology. I can help you with one example. I recently attended a blockchain gaming conference. What struck me was not just the technological aspects, but the incredible shift in how communities were engaging with games. It's like you had players actively participating in DAOs, making real decisions about game development and economic models. It's fascinating to see how these communities are naturally evolving into self-governing ecosystems. They have a stake in it. They have a choice. They're not just users anymore.
No. So how would I know that I was playing a Web3 game? What would be the sort of telltale signs? Or would there be none? Apart from obviously earning the crypto and, that side of things.
So right now, a lot of games, you still feel very complex. Let's say if I'm talking from a newcomer perspective. For them, it's still very complex. But the aim is to reach to a point slowly, gradually, which is happening already, that how we make it more simpler, for example, like Facebook or Instagram. You don't really have to be an expert to use that. You just open it and you start just, within 10 minutes, you understand what is going on. So it's like games are going towards the direction which is so user-friendly that you do not really think for a minute that it's a Web3 game anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just trying to wonder when it comes to earning these points, because I know gamers can be a fussy bunch. You can lose their attention quite quickly. So do we have to be careful that it's about the game? Firstly, the game has to be good, and then you can maybe launch crypto as well. Is it enough just to be able to offer rewards like crypto to get gamers in? Or they say, no, I still want a good gaming experience. And are we there yet with merging the best of both of those worlds, crypto earning and really good games?
See, front end and the game and how it looks, how it feels, the user journey, you can never compromise on those parts. That is absolutely there. That is the only way, no matter how traditional and how Web3 we will talk. User experience has to be the key factor. But what we are talking here is that when we are thinking about intersection between crypto, blockchain, gaming, how do we really find a future which they doesn't even, I mean, it should not be intimidating for the user. That's what the aim is. If it is simpler, if it is easy to use, they enjoy doing it, then of course they don't care about whether it is traditional or Web3. You know what I'm saying? Like it has to be from the user perspective, journey perspective.
So we've got these communities which are, evolving quite healthily within these Web3 games. And then when it comes to the actual assets, do you think we'll get to a stage where every asset within the game will be owned by the players themselves?
Yeah, that's the future we are going towards.
Yeah.
I was actually giving you one example I just recall. So, AC Milan's initiative, a recent initiative with virtual stadium plots, it's a good example. It's fascinating that how they are transformed traditional fan engagement into an interactive digital experience. These are not just collectibles. They are giving away unique ways to fan engagement. Imagine being able to vote for a team merchandise design, having a say in certain club decisions because you own specific NFTs. It's like, creating active fandom.
Yeah, no, definitely. So you've got AC Milan, a well-known Italian football club, and they're selling digital plots. So you can own a part of the pitch or part of the stadium as an NFT, which obviously proves that you have ownership, and that maybe gives you some rights and some voting power to decide maybe future merchandise, the colour of the kit for next season, that sort of fandom. That's what you're talking about, right?
That's correct. Yeah, exactly.
And then, and so we see that with gaming. You're going to see, which I guess is easier because the games are online. Obviously football and sport is physical, and you're turning it digital. A lot of this stuff exists in the digital world anyway, so maybe it's easier to NFT, your favorite weapon or your favorite costume or character, and own that as an asset. Maybe that's a simpler transition, with these Web3 games.
Yeah, like whatever we have thought, it's not ours. It's like suddenly everything is so open, everything where you can contribute and feel that connect, where you are more evolved. You see your belonging there. So imagine the mindset. It's totally different.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I've read, I think on your profile and your personal, your company one, you've launched over 25 startups in 5 years, which is pretty prolific to say the least. Now, what makes a gaming or an esports project stand out to you?
See, what makes us unique, first of all, I'll maybe explain that. So in my journey in iGaming industry, I was initially unofficially was trying to contribute through my network knowledge experience to a lot of projects which were there around me in iGaming space. And luckily and fortunately, I was in India, which is still very much, in a evolving stage with regards to gaming, esports, and gambling, even though it's still illegal, unregulated. But a lot of innovations are happening, which is making this whole space gray and different shades of gray, I would say. So what makes us unique is that, we operate as VC studio. We are not just investors, we are creators. Unlike traditional venture capital firms that evaluate external startups, their cash flows, balance sheet, etc., we are building and nurturing our own projects from ground up. This gives us great control over the development and direction of each venture. Like when we are ideating and developing new projects under the Ixia Studio, we focus on several fundamental aspects that guide our creation process. We look at economic foundation. Many crypto gaming projects stumble because they focus too heavily on token speculation rather than creating genuine utility. And that's where the space where you can actually make a difference. What all projects we are either contributing or investing, it's like those projects we build most demonstrate sustainable tokenomics, models that create real value for users while maintaining long-term economics viability. And that makes, I think, very unique, at least from the experience I've had. It's too early. We are still too early in our journey. But I would say that the unique factor which I've experienced and learned in my career was like, what is my superpower? And then we are particularly focused on building multiple revenue streams, like how that game can become a star, like a project becomes a star.
Yeah. What is your superpower?
It's like being in the country where I am in, which is still calling as emerging market, where of course India has the biggest population, like we have 28 states and 8 union territories. So India is on back of my hand, and Dubai and Africa, where we have extensive experience, and a lot of momentum is coming from the emerging markets, and that's the reason of choosing these countries over the entire across the globe. That how you can make value, how you can actually create value with your experience. See, because when you launch any project, any startup you see, they have one or two good strengths. But of course, building a team requires a lot more time and effort. And when you actually support that project beyond money, that's when you actually create the real value. And that's what my aim is.
Okay, understood. Now we're going to take a short break and come back.
Hi, I'm Thierry, the founder of A Crypto Radio. I have been helping and supporting people on their crypto journeys for many years, and now I'm excited to launch The Crypto Radio, which carries on my mission. We have built a stellar team of media professionals, and we are all excited to launch this unique concept, an online global radio show dedicated to crypto and blockchain. Join us.
Welcome back to the Crypto Radio. So you briefly touched upon tokenomics. So when a game is launched and it's got good traction, there's a good community, are you now seeing these games want to launch their own token that can be used within the game? But as you were saying, it has to have utility. You have to be able to use it to do things with. Is that you think the next phase that we'll start to see more games launching their own tokens within the game?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. So I see that personally for me, utility is important. Unless you have it, how you are actually, attracting the right audience. Why would people come and take your token, buy your token and use it? The usability is very, very, very important for me.
Yeah, because we see, obviously, there's a huge craze around meme coins. Some of them have zero utility. Obviously, they're just a dog, a cat, some silly meme there, but they obviously spike and, a lot of people make money very quickly and obviously a lot of people lose money. So maybe the next phase of that whole meme coin will be these coins, game coins, that have utility within the games, which, I think a lot of people would benefit from if actually you can use a token rather than just have it as because instead of it looking good, it actually can be used with a purpose, right? And so that's really, where gaming comes in, I guess, that it would have a purpose. You can buy things, you can trade with it, you can use it as collateral, right? So if that's a trend, then I think possibly that's a positive thing, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree.
So we sit here in Dubai and we cover lots of markets, but India is a fascinating market for us, so I just wanted to get your sense of number one, crypto adoption. We see a lot of people adopting crypto in India there. So if you could talk to us about, firstly, are you seeing that with your own eyes a lot more, not just investing, but people using crypto or Bitcoin to pay for goods and services? Or is it more, it's just more people holding it and investing in Bitcoin and crypto within India?
Yeah, it's the latter one. It's mainly for investing and, using an international transaction, I would say, mainly, but not for the goods and services.
No. So it's still there really as a trading tool, as an asset there. But obviously, as you mentioned, it's the most populous country in the world. The potential for India is massive, right? Do you think, obviously, the US and Trump is looking to be a hub, Dubai is looking to be a hub, there's Singapore. Do you think India also has ambitions to be a crypto hub, to have a real big ecosystem of all the big crypto players, exchanges, and blockchain providers within the country? Do you think that's part of the overall plan?
Not now, not out loud on the face of it. We are not talking as a country. We are not talking that openly about crypto as of now. But with regards to, I would say, my exposure of people and circle I roam around, I see that adaptability is very much there already. But from the government perspective and from the overall regulatory perspective, it's still not out loud there.
No. How is the government? Because obviously the US up until now has been sort of a little bit anti, or let's just say not very friendly towards crypto. Europe has been also the same, whereas the Middle East has been more sympathetic and friendly. How would you describe India's regime when it comes to crypto at the moment?
No, as I said, since it's not coming out loud, it's very difficult to say that how they are looking. But yeah, I can only answer from my read perspective, which is a very perspective-driven answer, is that, of course, as a country, we are open for everything, but we're not really talking out loud. It's similar as gambling. We are the biggest unregulated market across the world. But if you ask our government whether they want to actually legalize it, they would say no.
Yeah.
But it is still...
Yeah. Yeah, we'll move swiftly on from unregulated and gambling from where we sit. But I wanted to now ask you about startups when it comes to scaling these up, because obviously it's tough when you've got regions across India, Africa, the Middle East. What are the big challenges for gaming and blockchain startups? What do they face when it's trying to, they're trying to hit those markets, but they're also trying to go global? What do you think the big challenges are for these types of companies?
It's case-to-case basis, I can give you one example, like people who are sitting in India and planning to launch something in the US or going out global. Of course, the biggest thing which they need, they have the idea, they have the product, and which they are very, very proud of. And when you actually sit and, discuss with them, they have that niche, they have that passion. But what they really lack is, local knowledge in the US or local network in the US. So that's where it's like project to project, it varies, but especially people who are sitting in those emerging markets in India, Dubai, or Africa, where I'm focusing on, I think if they are local, if they're understanding it, and they have those at least matrix there, all I think is operationally they are struggling a lot in my little experience I've seen. And that's where we are trying to make a difference by adding more value to them, by spending more time with them, what all they need, how do they derive their journey, and with limited capex, how they can, in their initial journey of a few years, how they can actually create the right difference with the right numbers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's very subjective. Everybody, to each its own struggle, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. It's tough from a capex point of view. To also when it comes to that step up from regional to global, it can be a tough one. Now, I wanted to get back to the games and how they're developing, and we've talked about it. I think you said it's super exciting, and it is. It's a fast paced. Crypto and blockchain's fast paced, but when it's interspersed with what's happening in gaming as well, it's a very exciting space. Do you think we'll ever come to a stage where fans themselves, the gamers themselves, will be in the games? Do you think that's too far, or that will be the natural step? They can choose weapons, they can choose their costumes, they can choose the scenes, they can buy them and own them. But do you think the fans themselves could be within the games, or people wouldn't want that as such? They'd want superheroes and other sort of characters in the games.
I don't think it's very far. I think we are very close to launch something like that where we don't really feel that we are just watching it online. We are already there in that stadium. So I don't think it's very far. But yeah, personally, I've not seen that kind of project yet. So I'll be happy to explore something which is coming my way. Yeah. But we are there. But yeah, but still, I would say, don't take me wrong. It's still a very, very, very long journey to go.
Yeah.
We have a lot to learn. We have a lot to adopt.
Yeah. How far do you think we are off having players who become fans and gamers becoming within the game themselves, becoming characters within the games themselves, where perhaps you could vote, use your NFT, and you could vote on which player you want to be turned into a character, and you'd actually play with real life players? You said it's a long journey, but how far off do you think we are when you'd actually be able to be the character yourself in the game?
A couple of years, maybe?
A couple of years, yeah. Not just a character and choosing their hair color and what they look like, actually an avatar and you being in a game, not just played by you, but other people would be you, I guess, in a way. A couple of years, do you think we might be?
In a very initial setup, I would say it's still happening. But it's not something that you really feel engaged in. So the momentum has started, I would say, but it's a journey. We have to really evolve to actually feel that, you're really liking it.
Yeah. And so obviously you're seeing a lot of these gaming companies. You've got your own studio, you said as well there. What are you seeing? What are the new trends you're seeing in the sort of Web3 space there? What's exciting and happening that is sort of grabbing your attention?
I think for me, it's the evolution of community engagement in game development is very exciting. Like traditional gaming has always had a bit top-down approach where publisher make always all the decisions. With Web3 technologies, we are seeing the shift where players can actually participate in key decisions about game development. it's interesting to watch how these changes the relationship between developers and the communities. So it's like more inclusive approach, which was never there. I think that's the best part, I would call it.
Yeah, and so the community come together and they say, look, we really want this, and then the developers would listen to them and say, well, you are the gamers, so we're going to give you that's what you want, rather than, as you said, top-down approach where the developers try and second guess what the gamers want. Now the gamers have a voice, a unified voice, and a platform to say this is what we want from the game, or this is what we want to see in the next stage of the game. So that's pretty powerful, I guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The market, the way it is moving, the design, the platform, and, engagement and creating value is everything.
Yeah. So yeah, it sounds, Mona, like, you're going to be kept busy. There's always stuff going on from week to week. I guess you're always learning lots of things. So for you, I guess it's a pretty good role. Are you a gamer yourself?
Not much. I do gamble once in a while.
Right.
But yeah, not too much into gaming.
Yeah.
I used to play video games when I was in my school, college.
Yeah.
But I hardly get time.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's very time consuming. I've got 2 children myself who spend a good few hours at the weekends and go to bed too late because they're gaming. So yeah, you're right. You do need a lot of time for these things to be good at them, I guess.
Yeah, but the one thing which I try to do is to, at least engage myself once in a while to see how these, different brands are coming up with different designs and what they are planning and what kind of games they are attractive. Like, I give you one example. One person I met last week while I was in Hyderabad, where they're launching a project which has gaming avatar, and then at the same time dating app inside the gaming app. I don't know what, like at least 8-10 things I've seen. It was very briefly I met this guy, and it was very interesting. He's planning to launch this in the US, so I did like that.
Yeah. So you play the game, and then if it's male and female, let's just say, and so you can then ask them out on a date, but you have to go to the dating platform part of the game and then start swapping details like that, so you can hook up with fellow gamers on a specific dating platform.
They actually have a category inside that particular gaming app where you can actually see all the gamers out there. Because see, the perspective here is that you are spending a lot of time on these things. Instead of going on different apps, why don't you create the dating feature as well in that particular project or app, I would say. And then you can just do right and left swipe, whatever you like.
Swipe right, swipe right, swipe left. Oh, right. So already there's just this assumption that, look, you really love this game because you play it a lot. And so someone else who's playing that game, they like it a lot. So already you've got a good connection. So let's just so you could just date with each other. And within the game, there's a dating app within the game. And maybe already they've got some common interest because they both really like the game and play it a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, the trust factor is there from day one. They know that, okay, this person is at least in the same category as I am. So yeah, that's a good start, I would say.
Yeah, it is. It's as you say, that's just one thing you're seeing, and there'll probably be countless other, sort of different spin-offs within gaming, given that you've got this captive audience, you've got people, of a similar sort of age, I guess, there, and interest there. So yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit with these things. As you said, it's a very exciting space. Mona, it's been great talking to you, and I'm sure we'll come back to you again soon and get some more insights on what's happening with iGaming. But for now, thank you for joining the Crypto Radio.
Thank you so much.
Crypto Radio. Tune in and feel the glow. Digital coins we grow. All you need to know.
You're listening to the Crypto Radio. Learn more at thecryptoradio.com, where you can listen live for news, education, and entertainment. You can also join our community on X at the Crypto Radio X.
The Crypto Radio. Tune in and feel the glow. Digital coins we grow. All you need to know.
Hello, this is Justin Harper from the Crypto Radio, and I'm very excited to be speaking to Panda Boy, who is with us today.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
And so we're at the Crypto Content Creator Campus, and Panda Boy is here to pass on a lot of his knowledge because he has an amazing following on YouTube of some 55 million followers. Is that right?
Yes, it is indeed.
When did you set up your YouTube channel?
This channel 4 years ago. I mean, actually, in December of this year, it would be 4 years.
4 years, okay. And when you first started, what was your game plan?
It was actually, we didn't have any game plan back there because I started just for fun, and fast forward 6 months later, we had a crazy success, like in terms of views and virality. So it was totally unexpected. Like we started just for fun, and I would have never expected to reach that many people around the globe. So the game plan changed over time. Now obviously we plan our content. We have some strategy behind that. But back in the days, it was like very, very random, if I have to be honest with you.
Yeah. And so was it a number of really viral videos that really started to project you, or was it a slower growth that you saw?
The first 6 months, we didn't meet any success at all. And I even thought about quitting because prior to that, I had multiple YouTube channels. I've been doing YouTube for over 10 years. And this specific channel is the one that blew up. But as I said before, the first 6 months was a total flop. So I was thinking about quitting. And, I was following the trends back in 2020, and I noticed that the street interviews were quite popular. So I decided to give my own twist to the street interviews. And I think those videos were the one that blew up and brought me to the success of today.
Right. And when did you decide, you know what, I want to make this a full-time career and I want this to be what I do as my, sort of main goal and source of income?
After 1 year and a half, I realized it was going pretty big. So, okay, that's not a joke anymore. Let's take this more serious. And it's been 4 years since that day. I mean, not 4 years, it's been like 2 years and a half since that day. And super happy about it. We're looking forward to do more and more and having fun, which is the most important thing.
Yeah. Are there any sort of locations where you have most followers? Would it be, like Europe, US, Asia? Where do you find most of your audience?
We have a lot of people from United States, and also we have from Europe. And also we have a lot of people from Asia, like Singapore, Southeast Asia as well. So it's really global, It's like I would have never expected to just record some videos and there's someone from the other side of the world watching. For me is crazy. It's like unbelievable.
Yeah. And then you describe the content as family friendly.
When we first started, it was, as I said, we didn't have a plan. So we were shooting like any sort of content. And as we grow, we realized we wanted to keep an image, a clean image. And that's why we decided to have a policy of, let's say, no smoking, no drinking, and we want to try not to show any violence, and we want to keep a very innocent vibe. And it's working quite well. People love us, and that's our philosophy.
Yeah, and obviously you've got a YouTube following that's more than some countries' population, which is huge. How are you leveraging that outside of YouTube?
We're doing we don't do YouTube. We have other platforms as well. We have over 12 million followers on TikTok as well. We do Instagram, we do Snapchat. And we have many other projects. We just 2 years ago we released a book in my country, Italy, and we had like a game. We developed a game for like a mobile game, and we have many projects. And I cannot reveal too much, but I'm really excited.
Yeah, and of course we're here at this Crypto Creators Conference. What were you talking about? What was your subject that you were passing on to the audience?
I was a judge. There was this contest where people were making videos about the crypto world, and my job together with other judges was to give feedback and questions to all the contestants. And I saw a lot of amazing work today, and tonight the winners will be announced, and there's like a money prize. There is like it can be like in crypto or like cash, and there's like equipment for videography, and we're super excited to see the winners of today.
And then of course you've not actually done any sort of financial or crypto content. Why is that?
I am personally, if you want to talk about my personal life, I'm really into finance. I follow a lot of finance stuff and also crypto. For my channel, we decided to not talk about finance and crypto because we want to, because it's a bit niche specific topic. We want to. I'm not saying it's there is not a possibility that this can be like a global topic, but for now we are focusing on very reaching a large scale of audience. So very funny comedy videos so that the whole world can understand.
Yeah, but there are people, I mean, we had Mario talking here earlier, how you can manage to be into different topics. You could do politics, you could do economics, you could do food about your brand. Mm-hmm. What would you say to people who are thinking of, you know, moving into another topic? Like for you, you're making these fun videos, but say you wanted to do food or travel. What do people need to bear in mind when they're shifting from one subject to another?
For some people, the transition, it could be a challenge because it really depends what you do. Because for us, we were thinking about expanding to other formats as well, and not just comedy. We tried before actually before doing this Panda Boy channel, I was a food blogger. It didn't go as well. It didn't go. Actually, we flopped. To be honest, but I learned so many lessons from that. And for example, who knows? Maybe next year you can see a new Panda Boy channels doing food vlogs. It is a possibility. And now that we have an image, now that we have a brand, it is much easier, the transition. So why not? You know, like we are very open to explore new topics and even finance. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the sky is the limit.
Yeah, absolutely. And although it's niche, and you're absolutely right, it's becoming more mainstream. What is your advice to creators in any niche area? What would you say to them to try and get a bigger audience?
For niche specific content, it is a bit challenging to reach a global audience, because let's talk about crypto. Who's the YouTuber with most subscriber talking about crypto? I think it has like 1 million, 2 million subscribers. So that's the reach, because when we talk about crypto, the first thing that comes to mind is Bitcoin, right? But there's not many people who are actually, let's say, knows about Ethereum or like Solana. That's it's more niche specific. So this is a hard question to answer, to be honest. But yeah, I think following the latest trends, it can help making short format content. It can help really be on the same level as the audience, because the audience, they're like us, they're not, we cannot underestimate them. They're like humans like us, they think like us, so if we respect them, we show them things that they want to see, why not?
And who would you say Gen Z is your sort of the bulk of your audience?
Yeah, honestly, I would like to say that obviously my channel is labeled as for the young people, but I would like to say that my channel is for everyone, really. So it can be kids, teenagers, or even adults, because at the end of the day, the people who watch my videos might be young people, but they share with their families, so dad, mom, uncle, grandmas, so it reaches the whole family, really.
Yeah.
So I don't want to limit myself to kids only. I want to really, whoever wants to have a laugh, whoever wants to just watch a nice video can watch my videos.
Yeah.
Really.
And where does the name Panda Boy, where did you come up with that name?
That's a really curious answer. So the name is very specific. It may sound random, but so as you notice, Panda Boy, it ends with I, not with Y, because many people confuse that. So because I am Italian, but my parents, they are Chinese, so that's my background. So the first word, panda, is the traditional animal of China. It is an animal that you can find only in China. I'm talking about natural habitat. And then the word boy. It is like a tribute to Italy, the country where I was born. Because if you think about it, every brand, Italian brands, end with the word I. So let's say Armani, Gucci, Ferrari, Lamborghini. So that's like a tribute to Italy. So the Panda Boy, it's China and Italy, which is my background, put together.
Yes,
So it is like my represent
both your heritage, exactly, and your sort of new where you're from. And so there's a lot of obviously thought and effort went into making sure that you got that.
Yeah.
Do you think people come and look for wildlife, looking at the panda, and you feel the need to provide some sort of wildlife material or content, or people don't search for panda and expect to see pandas?
No, not really. Like let's say Mr. Beast. Like I'm a big fan of Mr. Beast. When you watch a Mr. Beast video, you don't think I'm gonna watch some Beast content, right? It's just like really well-made content. So when you watch Panda Boy videos, it doesn't have to be about pandas. It's just some nice, funny, entertaining videos.
You mentioned Mr. Beast because obviously he's grown his audience in a similar way to you, sort of just exploded. How would you sort of describe that? Are you inspired by him, or you see him as a competitor, or how would you sort of view Mr. Beast and what he's doing?
No, I have a big respect to him, and I would love to do some collaboration video with him. And yeah, if the chance rises, I'm here, why not, let's do it.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay.
But definitely big, amazing YouTuber, amazing person, I look up to him,
Yeah, and so what's next for you? Where's your next direction? Where do you see sort of your brand going next?
We want to expand. We want to make. I cannot say that because that's a secret project. But we would like to try to make it in the movie industry, which is quite difficult. But we will give it a shot.
Yeah, as in making your own movie, producing your own movie, and starring in your own movie.
Either we make our own movie, but obviously we don't have the Hollywood budget, or we can get sponsored by like a major film label, like a label or something.
Yeah, no, good luck with that, because obviously it's a hard one to break, but you've got the following and you've got the creative ideas, so no.
I think we can make it, but the time will tell.
Yeah, absolutely. Panda Boy, thank you very much for talking to us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me, and it was a pleasure for me as well.
Thank you.
Did you enjoy that interview? Well, there's plenty more where that came from. Breaking news, insights, and a whole lot of fun and entertainment along the way. Whether you're a whale hodling to the moon, a bag holder waiting for your comeback, or just a no-coiner like me trying to keep up with the jargon, the Crypto Radio has something for you. We've got interviews, deep dives, and everything you need to stay ahead in the crypto and blockchain space. Don't be afraid to dive in. If I can do it, so can you. So stay tuned and check us out at thecryptoradio.com and follow us on social media for updates, laughs, and everything crypto. See you there. Hello, this is Justin Harper from the Crypto Radio. You join us at CCCC, and I'm happy to be joined by my guest,
Avery Akinini.
Okay, and first question is, what are you doing at this conference?
I am so excited to be here at CCCC. I was a moderator and mentor for cohort 5 yesterday of the Hacker House, which was really fun and exciting. We had 15 different folks make 3 different pieces of content on different themes related to crypto, and I get to help them with it.
But you're more on the mainstream content creation. That's really your area of expertise. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at VaynerX. We are a family of we're a family of companies building brands for the now, but we have a deep love of all things innovation and emerging tech. I formerly was the president of Vayner3, which is our innovation arm where we did a lot of work in crypto and blockchain, and now a lot of stuff in the AI space.
And what would you say is your
your tone of voice? Would it be more educational that you're talking here? Would it be more engaging, entertainment? Where do you sort of fit in?
I think educational is sort of my area, and showing how bigger companies do this type of thing, communicate messages, etc. And then on the crypto side of things, you may be familiar with some of our Vayner family companies like VFriends, which is Gary Vaynerchuk's NFT project, which has, sort of since evolved into a bit of a collectibles business, but that was a huge learning ground for us. We also worked with dozens of Fortune 500s to launch various Web3 projects from 2021 till now. So showing how brands think about that, which is really valuable to a lot of these creators who are looking to work with brands and partners, not only in the crypto space, but in the sort of more macro consumer space.
Right. And then how would someone in the crypto, because crypto is still seen as niche when it's becoming more mainstream, but it isn't quite there yet. How do you sort of, transit from mainstream to crypto? How do you have to change your content?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of the same principles apply. And even hearing some of the judges today sort of share some of the, I would call them commonly known best practices in mainstream content creation, right? Engaging hooks, great thumbnails, variety from a scenery perspective, things like tone of voice, delivery, pacing, and understanding of the platform algorithms is applicable no matter if you're making something for a mainstream brand or a niche crypto content creator.
Right. And then, but we know crypto, whether you like it or not, has a risky connotation. It's a volatile, Bitcoin and the other currencies can be quite volatile. There's scams, but there's also some very good things going on that can change the future of finance. How do you protect a brand in such a rapid, sort of fast-paced landscape that is prone to have a few bad actors?
Yeah, I think you have to be really careful when you're representing a brand in this space. And for that reason, I would say almost all of the sort of Web3 initiatives that have been consumer-facing that we've done with our brands have not been financial in nature. They've been more like collectibles, loyalty, things of that nature. And then also working with some of our partners to either be able to accept crypto or be able to build pathways to do so in the future for their consumers as crypto moves from niche to mainstream in terms of consumer payment. In the United States, just this month, actually, we had some very big, exciting news with MoonPay integrating into Venmo. So we're starting to see these like consumer to consumer use cases become pretty common.
I wanted to ask about with your marketing hat on, what sort of new trends you're seeing, not necessarily in the social media space, but that is where a lot of change is happening. What sort of the way people are consuming content, how are you seeing that evolve and change?
The consumption patterns continue to go in one direction, and that is up, up, up. And I think that that's true across different verticals and across different countries. One really cool thing about CCCC is just the sheer international audience. Because Bybit actually doesn't operate in the United States currently, there's a lot of sort of Central European countries. There's a lot of folks from different Asian countries who are here representing. And it's interesting to hear sort of, dive into the platforms that really matter in their country. But macro, I think we're in an unprecedented era of social media. This has happened before, but never to the scale where any person, you could make a video today about, your time at CCCC. It's got the right tone, it's got the right hook. Millions of people could see that. That's not how social media has historically worked. It used to work like you had to amass a certain number of followers who then would be distributed your content a certain, number of times. And with the TikTokification of all things social, that's totally changed. You could have 20 million followers or 2 followers, and you could create a video that millions of people see if the content is interesting, is engaging, and is relevant.
Yeah, and then how do you manage different verticals? If you're like a brand that has a personal brand or the strong company brand, how can you move from, say, business to travel to leisure to maybe fintech there? How easy is it to keep that brand, identity across different sectors?
I think like content pillars are pretty common in our strategies where, let's just say it's a financial services brand. They want to, show up in lifestyle. They want to show up in payment or financial education conversations. Maybe they want to show up for F1 because they sponsor an F1 car. Bybit, who's actually the sponsor of this conference, sponsors an F1 car, for example. So I think it is, normal that brands are relating to their audience in multiple different ways, aligning to both passion points and more functional product content. And there are simple ways to do that, sort of like uniform tone of voice, uniform visuals, like brand book, look and feel, et cetera. But I think more and more brands are showing different sides of their personality. Maybe they're turning to one or two channels where they're a little bit more unhinged, and some where they're a little bit more fact and evidence based and press release based. But that's the cool thing of just the sheer number of platforms we have where brands can show up in different ways. Maybe they show up on X in a different way than they show up on LinkedIn, in a different way than that on YouTube. And that's amazing because from a consumer mindset, you're in a different place when you're on X versus LinkedIn versus YouTube.
Yeah, do you think a lot of people underestimate that when you move
Yes.
from platform to platform? You not have to reinvent the content, but you cannot just cookie cutter the content from there. But so many people, so many brands still do that.
So many brands still do that. And sometimes I think like the idea can be the same, but the formatting needs to be different, right? Like, you know, the tone needs to be different. Also the platform optimization, little things like, you know, when algorithms are favoring, like in Instagram right now, 4x5s are favored versus 1x1s. Knowing that enables you to make the right assets, which then get the right reach.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier, like Bybit and F1. It's a tried and tested path for financial companies to move into sport, whether it's football, tennis, F1. Is it that simple that, look, we need to grow our space, sport's cool, and we'll just sponsor something? Or what really is the thinking? What do you really need to do and be mindful of in that space? Is it that easy just to sponsor an F1 car or a football team?
Well, anyone can sponsor. Very few sponsorships are thoughtfully integrated in the whole marketing plan. But I think it's tried and tested because people still care about sports. They still watch sports in the way that a lot of other television content's a little bit more lean back. People are on their phones, they're second screening. When people are watching an F1 race, they're watching an F1 race. So at Vayner, one of our partners, Duracell, they work with Williams Racing. They actually designed the livery to have a battery on the car. Which is really cool. Definitely check it out. I think that's a perfect example of like, you make it so you just can't miss it and it feels really smart and really integrated. So I think that that's that magic of finding ways to create those special moments, but also to tell those stories on platforms like social. So it's not just you do your sponsorship and that's that. Because there's tons of brands who are sponsoring F1 who no one would remember that they are.
Right. And what about women who might not necessarily be into Formula One or football? How do you tap into that growing market?
Yeah, I think women are increasingly into all things sports. Women's sports is an increasing movement with like the Caitlyn effect in the United States of women's basketball, which is unprecedented. We've never seen so much attention on women's basketball before. So it's awesome to see that. One really cool example, Charlotte Tilbury, a makeup brand, actually sponsored a car at F1, which I thought was great. It's pink and really cool, and the female quotient just actually came to Singapore for their launch. They have a rose gold car. So some women are watching, and it's important to know it's not all men. So catering to them a little bit because almost all of the advertising is very male in terms of the way that brands are showing up in sports sponsorships. So customizing that a little bit for women, and then secondarily, sports, you know, can be beyond just